Good evening, everybody, and welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl, episode 49. Blimey. I've been away again, so I should just very briefly explain that. But before I do, let's say hello to the three lovely people that are joining me this evening. You should recognise them all if you're a One World, One Blood Bowl regular. If not, you should recognise them all anyway. These are some of the faces. These are some of the toxic elite. These are some of the people that makes Blood Bowl what it is, or certainly might do in the future. To my side, we have the lovely Runbad joining us from the wilds of Canada. Let's hope he can fend the wolves off for the entire show. Hi, Runbad.
Hey, how you doing?
From up north, we have the lovely Hankok directly above him, who has stolen some time this evening to be with us. How are things up there? Is it raining, I presume?
It's been raining all day,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, of course it is. And above me, we have the slimline, trim, modern figure of Dimmy Gee. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Excellent. So hopefully you can hear them all and you can hear me. I'm a little bit robotic, yeah. I've been married for a long time. Let me unplug and replug and hope that sorts it out. Okay, let me know if the volumes aren't all decent. I did do a sound check before. We should all be okay. So, where have I been? I suppose that deserves a little bit of explanation. I did say when we did the last little run of episodes that I'd been away a while. I'd been doing a lovely job. I was in a show called Player Kings. I had lots and lots of different little roles within it. I had multiple costume changes. I was on stage a lot. But as well as doing that big job, I had a second big job part of my contract, which was to understudy the main role, which was the role of Falstaff. Player Kings is Henry IV parts 1 and 2 cut together, and then cut down to really push the part of Falstaff to the fore. Certainly in the first half of the play, it very much sits on Falstaff. In the second half, Hal and King Henry IV come much more into it, and it's all about who Hal's going to be, whether he's going to go follow his father or follow Falstaff. But it's a very big role. It's a very famous Shakespearean role, and it was being played by Sir Ian McKellen, a knight of the British theatre, an 85-year-old, fantastic actor with more experience of Shakespeare than anyone else I've ever met or probably ever will. A fabulous, fabulous actor. You may know him from Gandalf or from the X-Men films, and lots of other fantastic work that he's done. Um, what happened is I was starting to stream One World, One Blood Bowl again because we're just about finishing the London run. I felt we'd got it all sorted and organised. We were going to go off on a tour, but I had weekends free. I could still do some more of these. And then, unfortunately, in the last week of our time in London, Sir Ian McKellen tripped and fell off the stage during the show, and had to be taken to hospital with some very minor injuries. And thankfully, he's going to be absolutely fine. He is already back and working and will be fine. But it meant he couldn't finish the London run. So I wasn't on stage at the time for the people suggesting otherwise in the chat. That's very hurtful. That's a man I love and respect. But I did hear it, because it was on the intercoms, and we went home very distressed. Spent a couple of days sort of getting the show in order, and then through a fairly long-winded process of me coming in and reading the lines through, working with the team, I was put on stage on Thursday night to play Falstaff, and I was lucky enough that it went very well. And so they gave me the Friday and the Saturday shows as well, and I closed out the last three shows of the London run, which is absolutely fabulous, a complete dream come true for me. And as well as a great chance to show off the acting that I've been longing to do all of my life in a role that really does challenge you and stretch you constantly. What was personally fantastic for me was it meant that my children and my nephews and nieces, who really haven't seen me do work of that size or that much demand of me as an actor, were able to come along and watch the show. On that Thursday night, I had 12 members of my family in the audience, as well as my agent and the producers and lots of people important to my life. Now, I've never loved the phrase that the show must go on. Really, it's fine. Everyone can just go for pizza early. It doesn't matter. No one dies if a show doesn't go on. It's fine. But for me and my career, and particularly, to show, I mean, the look in my son's eyes when I came off stage that night will be with me forever. It was a huge thing for me, and I loved doing it, and I loved the role, and I was very, very lucky that we had a week off, and then we went to the Blood Bowl Home Nations, and at the Blood Bowl Home Nations, not only did that go very well, but they offered me the role on tour because Sirian still wasn't recovered. So I then got to spend a month touring to Bristol and Birmingham and Norwich and Newcastle, and delivering that play and my full staff to 17 more audiences, which was, an absolute dream come true, a fantastic opportunity for me and something I loved doing. But it once again absorbed every atom of my being. I spent that time working incredibly hard and trying to do the role the justice I felt I could do it, to try and bring my absolute best performance to what is a sort of opportunity I may not get in my lifetime. Now, obviously, I hope that leads to more opportunities for me in my real world job as an actor. I hope I work more. That is all I hope to really achieve out of it, because ultimately I just did my job. But it did go very well. I got some nice reviews. I got some nice credit for doing that gig. But lots of other people understudy all the time, and they also get to go on and they also work hard. So let's not pretend it was more than that. It was just that. But I'm now back, and I'm once again looking for work. So if anyone has any acting opportunities, do feel free to contact me. But I'm also back in Blood Bowl. I was at a tournament just yesterday. We went down, myself and Half a Brain, a friend of mine from the London scene, and we went down to Brighton for what's now called the Brighton Piers tournament at the excellent Dice Saloon in Brighton. Brighton is a lovely town, and my best friend in the world lives there, so it means I get to go out with him, spend the night with him, see his lovely family, and wander back on the Sunday. It went exceptionally well. I played some lovely Blood Bowl. I enjoyed playing with my new vampires, which are so beautiful, painted for me by a friend of mine and regular on many a Blood Bowl stream. You may know him as James, or James Paints, he sometimes goes by. And let me tell you, he does paint, and the vampires I have from him are just heart-rendingly beautiful and an absolute joy to play with. And I'm from someone that doesn't normally rave about playing with nice coloured toys. To me, they're just pieces in a game, but these are very pretty pieces indeed. Had a great time with the vampires. I'm loving my Blood Bowl again. I'm excited to be back and to be back playing. I may even temper that with playing some Blood Bowl 3, but I certainly want to launch back into some Fumble. I'm just looking forward to Blood Bowl. I have a ticket very randomly on a random group of people I'm playing with at the Euro Bowl, so I'm heading off to Athens with my wife at the end of this month. But for now, we are back, and I want to talk about sort of everything to do with Blood Bowl with these three youngish Blood Bowlers I have gathered before you tonight. I want this episode to be about our journeys. I've been on a journey myself this year which hasn't been to do with Blood Bowl. But these guys all come from Blood Bowl 2. Am I right? That's where we all started our Blood Bowl?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So there you are. That's a fulsome answer. That always works on a podcast. So one word, yes, we all started on Blood Bowl 2. Let's talk about that. Let's start right back there. How did you all find Blood Bowl? What brought you to Blood Bowl 2? Dimmy.
Dimmy, hello everyone. So, well, when I say Blood Bowl 2 was my first introduction, that's slightly wrong. So it was third edition, being 12 years old, going around a mate's house, and then he had this game called Blood Bowl that I knew nothing about, and it had all the minis with their one arm in the air. And I said to him, "Oh, can I borrow it?" And he said yes. And then, like, he never asked for it back, and I never. Like I wasn't massive in Warhammer or anything like that. So it just ended up in my cupboard for like the rest of my life. So I had a copy of third edition, but
That you
then like
stole from a friend.
I borrowed it and just
Yeah,
he never
borrowing without
asked
giving
for it.
back. I'm
Oh,
pretty
well,
sure that's a crime.
if he'd asked for it, I would have given it back to him. But yeah, so I knew what Blood Bowl was, and then I was massively into Total War Warhammer 2, so I used to stream that before I started playing Blood Bowl, and I used to play like multiplayer competitively, and I like had a clan and all this sort of thing. And anyway, some of the guys in the I played Warhammer with online were like, "Oh, let's just create a Blood Bowl league," and I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I'm competitive guy, so I didn't want to just go there and lose. So then I joined Rebel. I got some like coaching and stuff, and then that was it. I just got hooked, and now I'm just a complete Blood Bowl addict, basically.
Now, when I arrived on Blood Bowl 2, correct me if you think this is a misapprehension. Quite a few people, I would say, characterised you as a bit of a joke streamer.
I mean, that's true. Yeah, it was there pretty much.
That's not unfair of me, is it?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. I used to just get pissed up, have a few beers, play loads of games, have a laugh, have a chat. Like, I wasn't. I mean, I still wouldn't sound very good, but I was definitely like not very good then. And like, to be fair, I think I thought I was better then than I was. Like, I thought I was a lot better than I actually was. Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
famously won Rebel Division 5A or something, didn't you?
OCC 5A.
OCC 5A.
I won Rebel Division 4A. I won the first league. So that league that I joined with these Total War guys, I won that league. That was called the Goblin Cave League, and I won it with rats. Surprisingly, I know. I did that just to prove a point because some guy pissed me off.
But you've never lacked self-belief, as has just been pointed out in the chat, have you? That's
I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, you say that. I probably lack it more now than I did then. Yeah, definitely. But like back then, like, I was like really confident,
The
really,
more you
really
know,
confident.
turns out the scarier it all is, maybe.
Mm.
I think
But to
so.
my
Yeah.
eternal credit, from the minute I arrived on Blood Bowl 2, I saw potential in you, Dimmy. And I believe I said so right from the beginning, that I didn't find you quite the joke that everyone had told me you were.
Oh, cheers, cheers.
And that if
Good.
you, my basic premise to you was stop playing the teams you care about when you're pissed, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. There was
My top
many
advice.
sad, yeah, many sad times. My
Okay, so
favourite.
Runbad, how did you find Blood Bowl? What brought you into the world of Blood Bowl 2? That
Oh
not
yeah, I was
missed,
gonna.
but sort of alright version of Blood Bowl that we had.
Yeah, I actually found it during the pandemic on Twitch. I was just kind of looking for a different game to play. Obviously the gaming in general was full of just FPS shooters and a lot of carbon copy games, and nothing really was interesting me. And I actually just happened upon Mr. Page's stream one night, and obviously Mr. Page is very very easy to watch, and in the North American time zone, and kind of got me interested in the game a little bit, and then a few weeks later decided I was going to download it and try it, and realized that I had no idea even from watching a stream what's really going on in the game. But immediately was apparent the high skill ceiling of the game, and I think that is what really drew me in, as well as the variant side of it. I come from, I worked in a casino for many years, and no stranger to poker and other forms of gambling. So the variant side of Blood Bowl really intrigued me, coupled with the skill required and the perception that everybody is the most unlucky player in the world. Ask one Blood Bowl player, if they're lucky. Nobody's going to tell you there is no lucky Blood Bowl player. They're all unlucky, right? And
Yeah.
some of that's confirmation bias and skewed perception and so on. But it certainly grabbed me that way right away, and thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, obviously, it's a large part of my life now. I went from
We'll come to what it's done to you and
yeah.
how it's changed you in a minute. I just want to find out, first of all, how you came to Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
Liam Hankok, let's bring you in. What brought you to Blood Bowl 2 and into the world of Blood Bowl?
It was like late 2019, like early 2020. I sort of around the time the pandemic was starting. Not that affected me because I worked through the entire thing, but I found like the Twitch community, and I'd already knew about like Blood Bowl 1, and like the development side of the game always like interested me, like skilling players up and stuff is cool. So I found the community and started playing really, and just what kept me like going was like the ladder and building teams and stuff, and I just really enjoyed that side of it. I was terrible. I was like a 40% player or something, but because like strategy games aren't really me. I was never really a strategy
Yeah, what's your
game
gaming
player.
background, if you have one?
Mostly like MOBAs, so like Dota and Dota 2 and stuff like that, and shooting games on consoles a lot. Never ever really played any strategy games at all. No board games, no Warhammer, no nothing like that.
And do I recall that you actually had sort of competitive real life sporty things?
Yeah, yeah. I was
You're an outdoorsy type that's ended up playing Blood Bowl. How
yeah.
did that happen?
I don't know. I'm not sure because I think once I started shift work, like a lot of all my consistent hobbies sort of went out the window because I can't go to them all the time. So the football dies off, like any martial arts you're doing dies off, sort of thing. So you end up more and more time at home. So yeah, that's how it happened.
So in some ways, this is I've been accidentally clever, as I often am. We've got Dimmy coming in from sort of multiple war games and massive multiplayer online and that community. We've got Runbad coming in from the sort of the gambling side, the poker side. Ideally, you'd have said you're a chess and aficionado, but failing that, just someone looking to entertain themselves from home and engaging with I think perhaps the competitive one-on-one nature of it maybe is something that maybe resonated in your soul. That there's as well as building the team and all of that and finding out
Yeah,
about the rules, ultimately it's to take part in something competitive. So it's all different routes in. But Blood Bowl 2 was where we all met. And then from there, of course, your Blood Bowl journeys, which is what I'm sort of titling this evening, that's where they all began. But as I talked about just pre-show, you've gone in three, I think, massively different directions with it. So what sparked you to branch out beyond Blood Bowl 2? I mean, obviously me, primarily. I am the Nosferatu, the father vampire figure in all of your Blood Bowl stories. But enough praise of me. let's start. We're talking to Liam. Let's start with you, Hankok. You left Blood Bowl 2. You came out from behind the screen, and you've played more Blood Bowl. Why?
Yeah.
Just why did that happen in the first place?
Dimmy's fault. I think Dimmy asked me to come to UKTC with Dude and James Jenks, and then it all went from there, really.
But why'd you say yes? What made you think that sounds like fun? Is it the sparkling personality of Dimmy Gee?
Yeah, probably a little bit. Yeah, definitely, for sure, a bit of a bromance. Just wanted if Dimmy's doing something, I can always give it a go, sort of thing. So I just thought, sod it, I'll go and see if I enjoy it or not.
Okay, so it's halfway between I want to go with a mate, and that's a really low bar.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
Dimmy can get it, then I can surely get
yeah,
that too.
yeah.
So, Dimmy, it sounds like you were instrumental in this. What made you want to go and do Blood Bowl in the live with all the smells and the people and the journey?
I don't know really. Just wanted to experience. Like I haven't like. There was a big stage in my life that I just didn't do anything. I just sat indoors all day, like played computer games and drank beer basically. And I was like, oh, well, I should really try and plan and do something. And it was El Duderino who organised the team for UKTC with, because me and El Duderino, like, I got roped into doing some Rebel cast. You know, Rebel do the recaps and
Yeah.
stuff. El Duderino's like, will you do it with me and James Jenks? And I was like, yeah. And then James Jenks just quit immediately. So then it was just me and El Duderino doing these recaps for these guys for no reason. And then like, so me and El Duderino got like quite a good friendship and that through that. He's a good guy. And then he was like, yeah, come to UKTC, come to, because he like, I knew like Andy was into tabletop and all that. And I knew there were some
That's
like
Andy Davis,
streamers.
very big on the
Yeah,
streaming scene
yeah.
on Blood Bowl 2, and still, of course, with Blood Bowl 3.
And there are like people in Twitch chat used to pop up and go, yeah, I go tabletop like and stuff, and they used to mention it, and I'd be like, oh, it sounds pretty cool, like I'll give it a go, sort of thing. And then yeah, and then I invited Hankok because he was better than me, and I wanted to win. So
I think I would say at that point in time, neither of us was particularly good. I'd say better than average at best, sort of thing.
I thought I was a lot better than I probably was.
Duderino is a hell of a man. I think we can all say that, and a huge presence in any room he's in. Why do you think this all suddenly appealed? This idea of, I mean, leaving the house, going somewhere. I mean, you just used a word I want to cycle back to. You said that sounds cool. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people I've explained going to a Blood Bowl tournament, and they've used lots of words about it. But wow, that sounds cool. Has rarely been one.
I don't know. Well, it's like I always wanted to play like games, but like not 40k. I like Warhammer stuff. I always wanted to play, but not like 40k as such. And like honestly, in Hastings, like there's nowhere to really go. Like if you want to play 40k, you can play that anywhere. Like you can find someone, you can play it and stuff. I really like Blood Bowl. Like, and then to be fair, it's probably easier to go to a tournament than it is to find a league and stuff. Like where I am, and like at the end of the day, if you don't try it, you don't know, do you? So you've got to go, like give it a go. I mean, there was a chance that I went there and I hated it and I never played it again, you know. So, but and
Liam, was it-
it was also a good opportunity to meet the guys I met online. Do you know what I mean? Like I never met any of these guys, like, and I knew them and I got on with them and I spoke to them like 2-3 times a week, maybe more. And they sort of became friends over the years, and it was just an excuse to meet them as well, like you know. So.
Yes, they became your friends that you've never met, because that's the
Yeah.
internet age, isn't it? We've all got people we
I
know
told
really
my
well that
boss
we've
at
never
work.
met.
My boss said, "What are you doing on the weekend?" I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go and stay in a house with a group of strangers that I've never met before on the internet." And she thought I was joking.
Yes.
I was like, "I'm not joking, no."
No, I'm not joking.
Yeah,
I'll be back and hopefully still be able to sit down.
yeah.
So, Liam, you've been to actual sporty things with people that are all like fit and stuff. You've swapped that for going into indoor spaces with totally middle-aged men.
Yeah.
Is it cool?
Is it cool? No, it's not cool in the slightest, is it? But what is cool is like people are cool, right?
Yeah.
Talking to people's cool for the most part, even though I'm not particularly good at it myself. Being in a community and having like a common talking point with just anyone that's there, no matter what age or sex or race or whatever, it doesn't matter. You've got a common talking point because you're all there playing a stupid little children's game on a board. So that's pretty cool. But no,
Is
Blood
that
Bowl
one of the
is not
secrets to
cool.
you? Is that whilst it is, nerdy, and it has that hobbyist appeal, and it does have the community around it and all that backstory and lore. It's also fundamentally very, very stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a huge irony to how seriously we all take it, and that
Yeah.
sort of inner smile at that ridiculous kids game we're all putting all this effort and attention into is always there with me. Is that a thing?
Yeah, slightly. I think that the thing that makes me always come back to tabletop though is that I love the idea of winning a tournament. Like a lot of people will go to tournaments, and if they're having a rough game, they'll think about their ratings or their rankings, and they'll try and eke out a draw rather than pushing for the win. And I hate that. I love going for the win and trying to win the tournament. I don't care about anything else. That's what I enjoy about tabletop football.
Yeah, and that's particularly that's a tournament scene, isn't it? That's very much not a league attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's that. I mean, going to meets and things. I know you used to have was it a what do I call it? A dirt bike?
I know I had a racing bike almost for
Okay.
tracks across the UK.
But that's similar things, isn't it? You go somewhere, you're hyper competitive on it, you try your absolute best, and you go home and get on with your life.
Yeah. It's exactly the same, to be honest. It's not always against other people, as it were, because you're not meant to. But
sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You're not coming off and not mentioning your time to that bloke you think was slower, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so maybe we're scratching that itch, but in a way that having a family and
slightly
a child,
safer,
not being able to kill yourself really now might be
well,
helpful.
nearly did it UTCC.
Oh my god.
Okay, well I wasn't there this time. You see, you've all been without me. This is why your lives have gone so wrong. Runbad, let's talk exactly the same about you. What took you out of behind the screen? What got you out meeting people and confessing?
So I started streaming on maybe 6 months after I started playing Blood Bowl, and obviously I was quite bad. And I mean, Dimmy described my stream as watching a very slow car crash at one time. But I mean, the community really grabbed me from Twitch. I was really supportive and always trying to help, and while poking fun and tongue in cheek and all that. But really, really great. And then a year after that, yourself along with others kind of encouraged me to get out and check out and see if there were any tournaments available. And one of the fellows with chat was running a tournament in Ottawa, which is a couple hours away from me. And from there, I mean, it was immediately apparent that the community there in that area, and kind of what is still a couple hours away is quite close to me. Is extremely tightly woven. A lot of good long-standing coaches and some good competition, but also some people that really love the game. So it was really easy from there to just I think I've been to almost every one that has been held within a few hours in the last couple of years, and
is it always over towards that area or?
Yeah, so it's kind of one way or the other. Like I can go towards Montreal and Ottawa, which is a couple hours one way, or I can go to Toronto, which is a couple hours the other way, and I kind of live right in the middle. So it's it's a bit of a drive and it's a bit of commitment for a 2 day to get a hotel and so on. But it's really taken me, and me combined with my brother, we go to a lot of tournaments. And have since pulled some other folks out of Twitch chat. JD Whitey is one that we needed a third for a team tournament. He kind of hopped in, and now he's a regular on the scene as well. So it's a little bit infectious, right? It's really easy for people to get caught up in it and see the desire that the community has around it, and everybody just wants everybody to have fun, and everybody wants everybody to encourage them to get involved with Blood Bowl, I think, and that's why I think it's really easy to get behind it and just get out there and have some fun.
Obviously, it will surprise some people listening, but in Canada, it isn't just trees and wolves and snow, is it? There are actual centres of civilization where Blood Bowl can happen.
There is the odd group of buildings here and there.
But it's certainly more sparse, say, than Britain. Within 2 hours, I could get to about half of England. So there's a lot more tournaments available to me. Do you think that?
Your density of cities in general is quite high, right? Like for me, the city I live in is maybe 150, 200,000, and then I've got like a million population cities within 2 hours. But there's no other large cities in between there, right? There's you might have a couple, 20, 30,000, 50,000, but not large like the UK where everything is very condensed. I think I don't really know for sure in population, but
yeah, and even small towns can throw tournaments and expect to pull in people from far and wide because it's so much more compact.
Yeah, it does require a little more commitment because, like I said, there is travel and accommodations and so on. Is where I think for a lot of them, you guys can use trains or whatnot, which here is not as economical and and nothing's quite as close.
But that does mean some sort of changes in what that scene generates, doesn't it, for you?
100%. Yeah, I mean, it becomes a like I've held two tournaments here in the city I live now. Started last year, and third one's coming up in November. But always, the Friday and Saturday both arranged for a pub night for everybody to go out and have fun, and it becomes more of a social gathering. Sure, you get your 5 games of Blood Bowl, but it's also everybody that is knows each other quite well at some point, as well as some new folks coming in. Big social event, just kind of a nice getaway for everybody. And like I said, it's really fun to organize and really fun to be a part of.
And is it fair to say that, how do I put this politely? The whole North American Blood Bowl scene, I include America as well as Canada in that. I don't know about Mexican Blood Bowl. Maybe they have luchadors as a big thing in Blood Bowl there. But is it fair to say the rule sets tend to be a bit more maybe out there than we would see in Europe? A little more.
You'll see some, right? You'll see some certainly. Like the one I was at yesterday is a little bit out there as far as what's allowed, but largely a lot of them mimic either Euro Bowl. World Cup was big. Like World Cup was almost every tournament was a World Cup build. So there are certainly those that are outliers, but at the same time, at least in our scene, a large majority of those mimic whatever the kind of global rule set is for the season. Euro Bowl is quite big right now, obviously, and like I said, last year the World Cup, everybody's just getting sick of it. But as far as looking for balance and things that aren't too crazy, there for sure there are some where it's like this guy's got Morgan and Ripper, right? but there's a balance of both, I think, for sure.
I'm also loving Liam's stony face at that. The idea of these stars clearly appealing. I mean, recently Squad Chaos went over and had a trip around Canada doing some Blood Bowl and also seeing the lovely Canada. And Core in the chat has been saying the same thing, that he has had some lovely times over in Canada. Is it becoming destination Blood Bowl there? Can we come over and expect to get a couple of tournaments in say 2 weeks and also see some Canada? Is that a doable thing?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're running into an issue with a lot of conflicts already in the area. Like it's a bit of a corridor, right, between say southeastern Ontario and Quebec. It's maybe a 6-hour drive between them, but we're running into issues where there's too many tournaments for sure.
And that's because you all live in a band basically on the border of America, isn't it? That's
Yeah, so there's a highway that goes along the north end of the lake, and like a large amount of the cities are along that for sure, right between Montreal and down towards beyond Toronto. So, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of events through the summer. It's a little bit slow, but at this point, there's an event at least every 2 weeks, I would say, maybe 3 weeks depending. So maybe not the density of the UK, but certainly over the last couple of years, it's really started to blossom.
And one thing I did want to talk about. So whilst we're on you, let's sort of finish this story, this leg of what I think of as your Blood Bowl journey. It took you over the ocean. Now, much as I would love to say that you came to England solely to go for a drink with me in the Bermondsey area whilst I was rehearsing my play, I don't think that's true. I think you snuck in some sneaky BB up north with those dirty Manchester people. Is that true? And how was that? You've travelled internationally across
Yeah.
continents to play Blood Bowl.
So originally, Giraffe was looking at putting a World Cup team together, and we were talking about it, and then it didn't really line up, and it didn't happen. And then with 10 days to go, I think somebody dropped out of one of the Canadian teams, and they needed somebody that was willing to kind of drop everything and go to the World Cup. And unfortunately, I should say, I have a bunch of enablers in my life that were able to just allow me to just disappear. It was a trip of a lifetime for sure, and on short notice it was fun, and obviously got to meet so many great folks from the community online, which obviously I had a bit of a rapport with just from the streaming thing. So yourself included, it was a pleasure to meet you, and too bad you guys, Dimmy and Cock, weren't there, but maybe next time I'll definitely be going to each one.
And I gave you a selfie for free. Now I'm pretty sure Andy David wouldn't do that.
I've been waiting for the invoice; it never came.
No, nothing from me. Free, absolutely free.
But
you came
it was
back,
an amazing experience.
so you did it again.
Yeah. I'll be going to each World Cup, I think, for sure. Just making it an absolute priority to do that, just because it was a great time, and like I said, it's a nice to be able to go see. I can just imagine going to all the different destinations that it's going to be. Visiting places you would otherwise never go. I mean, I'm not a big traveler. I've never really been a big traveler. And now, I mean, with Blood Bowl, I went to Spain last year. I went to the Chaos Cup in Florida last year. This year, I'm going to Vancouver for the Spike in a month, and I'll be in Florida in November again for the Chaos Cup again. So, I'm become a bit of a diehard.
You are an international, bright young thing, bouncing around the globe, bringing your smile and your Blood Bowl to us all. And what brought you to Britain in January?
In Britain. I wasn't in Britain in January.
Weren't you?
No,
We
I've never
move
been to
on.
Britain.
What's the big dream in Blood Bowl then? Is it winning a World Cup?
I mean, we need to be realistic, right? I'd like to get,
I think I have
just
to,
continue
Mentor.
to get better, right? Just to continue to improve, and the Twitch community and the streaming is a thing that has become a large part of my life, which I never expected people to want to watch me play a game, let alone Blood Bowl, which I was, continue to be terrible at from time to time. But it's all about fun, and it's a large part of my social life now, right? A lot of my social life is through Twitch and hanging out with everybody in Twitch chat. It's a great time. I always have fun with it, and like I said, the amount of time that I put into it is considerable. But I've got the time, and I'm certainly enjoying it.
And how do you feel that the Blood Bowl tabletop has come into your Twitch streaming? Because, I mean, I noticed your start on Blood Bowl, you said, was from the legend that is Mr. Page. Um, he always had, I would describe his Twitch stream as quite full of Mr. Pageisms that were very unique to his channel. Lots of things bouncing around on the screen, lots of Mario-like coins and noises. And you yourself have partly gone down the sort of light entertainment route as a Blood Bowl streamer, I would suggest. Do you feel that DNA runs through you, that need to?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like in general, my stream is fairly low production quality. I just kind of turn it on and play the game and chat. Now we've kind of picked up the Challenge the Champ mini game, which originally started as just an idea for somebody to use their hundreds of thousands of channel points that nobody had any use for. And it's kind of taken on a bit of a life of its own. So it's been fun. It's something that engages the viewers and gives everybody everybody loves some dice rolling. So it's been a nice little addition to the stream for sure.
Cool. Is the tabletop going to continue for you?
100%. Yeah. No, I've like I said, it's I kind of get my schedule lined up of how it's going to look over the next. I think I've probably got 5 or 6 tournaments before the end of the year. So it's continuing it. I'm on a pace of about one a month over the last couple of years. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's a great social outing for me, and definitely something that to look forward to.
Well, I
So
mean, we'll have to
it's
see you back in the UK. Hopefully not for a World Cup, because I don't think the UK will get one for ages.
you don't think
But
so?
Scotland might get a Euro Bowl. I think we accept Canadians into those.
Yeah, Canada's going to the Euro Bowl this year for the first time. So maybe someday I can partake in that. We'll see.
Now, you've been saying those rules have been knocking around in Canada. I'm sure we've all played them, so let's bring the other guys back in as well on this. What do we think of the Euro Bowl rules? We've been settling on them sort of all year, and I haven't. I've played them, once or twice in the sort of the tiny amount of Blood Bowl I've managed to squeeze in. How are they? Are they good? I mean, I am going. Should I be looking forward to it?
They're fine if somewhat complicated, basically.
Where's the complication? I mean, it's slightly different. Is it the packs? Because that seems to be a thorn of
Yeah,
contention for some
the
teams.
packs make it a little bit of a faff to browse at ease, as it were. But I don't know. Everyone's broke it down. We mostly know what's at the top, what's at the bottom, sort of thing. So you know what you're going to expect to face.
Dimmy, have you been loving the Euro Bowl rules? Do you think they got it right?
Yeah. Like my thing was the packs. Like the packs are just a little bit overly complicated, but I mean, yeah, I do like the Euro Bowl rules. I'm getting a bit sick of Necromantic. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my god, like, everyone started playing Necromantic, which is
I playing Blood Bowl 3.
well, yeah, there is that because of Blood Bowl 3 and stuff as well. And I'm quite surprised. I haven't seen more Amazons. I thought like I would have seen a lot more Amazons recently, but I've been pretty lucky. I've managed to swerve a lot of them.
There's a lot of Amazon's tourneys we've been going to lately for sure.
There's
Very,
loads there. Yeah, they're so good. They're so good.
I think it's the reason you don't see many is they're not exactly a joy to play.
Yeah.
I played them once, and there's nothing joyous about playing them at all compared to like Necro. Necro's really fun to play. You've got to be really scrappy to do well with them, sort of thing.
Yeah, so they're one of those teams that really requires each piece to do exactly what you're trying to do with it, doesn't it? So there's a lot of, if it goes right, you really feel, yeah, I've used every piece to its optimal.
Yeah.
Now, talking about Blood Bowl 3, obviously Runbad is still streaming away and rolling his dice as he does and things, busily entertaining the masses. Liam, are you loving the Blood Bowl 3? Have you found it finally that something you can settle on and play some Blood Bowl with?
I haven't bought it. I won't buy it. Someone gifted it me, and I made them refund it. Genuinely, I'm not even memeing.
Yeah, it was me.
Um,
I bought it for him for Christmas, and he
uh,
refunded it. And
made
he's
them
like,
refund it. I don't want anyone giving any money on my behalf to the company. So no, Blood Bowl 3, not for me, basically.
Are you playing any Blood Bowl online at all?
Not really. Not massively tempted by Fumble at the moment. Fumble's one of them. It's like you've got to really be in the mood to sharpen your Blood Bowl skills to make the most of Fumble. I just haven't got that mentality at the moment.
So there we are. Cyanide has taken someone that loved his Blood Bowling, loved to stream it, and now tabletop has won his heart, and that's all he plays Blood Bowl on. And that's occasional that you're really picking your tournaments. What's your so Runbad, as we said, he's been out there, he's been enjoying, he's been travelling oceans, and he's settled back into streaming and feels it's added and made things of his life. What's your Blood Bowl journey been like, Liam? Where are you headed and where you're going?
I think you said Liam then, so was that to me? I
Yeah,
missed
to you,
that.
Hankok.
Where's my Blood Bowl journey going? I don't know. I think I'll just consistently play tabletop. At some point, I will try again to take that extra step forward in terms of being like a competitive Blood Bowler. But right now, my mindset's not there for it. There's too much going on, as it were.
Yeah.
I had a great. I went Water Bowl this year. I managed to win Water Bowl, and that was amazing. That was fantastic. And I played some really good Blood Bowl, but my head's just not been in the space again since, sort of thing. So
And is it that's just focus, or is it real life, or is it other pressures?
it's like it's a multitude of things. Like for me, unfortunately, as a coach, like I've got like a really high ceiling. When I'm good, I'm excellent. But at the same time, I'm quite easily like a B C tier player. If my preparation is not right, if I'm tired, if something else is going on, it all affects my tabletop quite easily. So I can drop down, sort of thing. So it is what it is.
And the competitive nature in you just doesn't love that, does it?
No, I hate that. I really wish I could be more consistent, but there's so much you need to do. For me anyway, to be that consistent, there's loads that you need to do. You need to put loads of time into it. You need to be prepared mentally and physically, even. I haven't got that. I haven't got that luxury at the moment, but it's fine. Maybe I will have at some point in the future. I don't know.
And what about this rule set? I mean, the last One World, One Blood Bowl I did, we talked about, is this a Blood Bowl golden age? Are we accidentally, living in a golden age of Blood Bowl? And lots of people have come to me since and said they believe we are. But mainly that's because of the numbers in the clubs, the numbers coming to tournaments.
I was going to say
Is the rule
golden
set
age
appealing
of
to you or
what?
not?
It's when we're talking about the golden age of Blood Bowl, we're just talking about numbers, aren't we? Popularity, full stop. Golden age in terms of a competitive rule set, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's there, but it's accessible. More people are playing it. That's good. If I've got nitpicks as someone who considers himself like a competitive player, there's nothing I can do about that. The rule set could be better. Will it be better in the future? I don't know. We'll wait and see.
And what's going to tempt you back into playing Blood Bowl, do you think? How could we? Is it just your life needs to sort out, or is there something Blood
You
Bowl?
mean online, or
No, in any
I'll
way.
always play tabletop? I think. Yeah, I'll carry on playing tabletop regardless of whether I'm in a position to be the best me I could be, sort of thing. I enjoy going to tabletop. It's weird because I'm not very good socially, if I'm honest. Like it's when my three games of Blood Bowl are done, I'm tired. My social battery is like got lost. Like it's tiny.
Yeah.
And I just want to hide, but I've sort of pushed myself to go out and be sociable and talk to people and stuff like that. And I think it's good for me. It's healthy sort of thing. So I'll always go to tabletop. I enjoy it. I love being there. I love seeing people I know there and talking to them and catching up and stuff like that. I think it's really good.
But I mean, as you said, I think your skill level is incredibly high in Blood Bowl. I've always talked about you as someone who I think could represent Team England or go anywhere in Blood Bowl you want to go. Is that something that tempts you?
I don't know. In the coming year, maybe not. I'm not sure how. I'm going to see how I feel in the new year, sort of thing, about what my aspirations might or might not be. I've had a good year at Blood Bowl this year. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd like to represent on the national field, just to be part of that team of 8. I think being part of a team of 8 and representing your country and stuff, that'd be pretty cool. But whether it's one of them, I don't want to go unless I'm good enough
Right.
to be there, if you know what I mean.
So it's also feeling you earn that place as well as
Yes,
someone
yeah,
telling
exactly,
you come along, please.
yeah.
I get it. Like I said, I think it's the competitiveness in you that is what chimes with you in Blood Bowl. I don't see any other sort of natural routes in except that ability to go one-on-one and see who comes out the best. And that, as you say, does require you to really feel you're putting your A game out there on that board.
Yeah. That's what I love for.
To get that thrill. I wonder if maybe, becoming a hobbyist, painting and modelling and really loving those little toys might be the way forward for you.
Honestly, I've tried painting. I enjoy printing. I print models. I print a lot of models for other people and stuff like that. That's fine. That's something that I can do. But painting and no, none of that's for me. I'm not a hobbyist at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've respect for hobbyists, and as I said, I've got some beautiful vampires I loved playing with, but I could never do that. I don't have the patience. I certainly don't have the skill set, and it would frustrate and annoy me. Runbad, are you painting now? Are your toys
I am
your
actually.
joys?
Yeah, so my first 2 or 3 tabletop teams I had commissioned. I paid because I was just didn't have the time and the certainly not the skill. But like my desk is full of paint. Like all around me right now is just paint because I just when I'm not streaming, I'll just kind of paint for 20 minutes here and there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not Dimmy levels of volume, but I've probably put out maybe 4 or 5 teams this year. And I've enjoyed it a lot, honestly. I find it quite relaxing. It's kind of nice to be able to just throw on TV or throw on a stream and just kind of work away at something. I'm really been enjoying the painting. And so I played 40K like 20 years ago,
Right.
and I knew of Blood Bowl and so on, and so I painted a little bit. But like 5 years ago, if you told me I was going to be playing tabletop games back into painting, like I would have called you a fucking lunatic. There's no way, right? But here we are.
Here we are.
The
You've
world
gone
works
full
in
hobbyist.
funny ways, right? It's and wouldn't give it up for the world, right? Like it's really glad that.
Speaking of full hobbyist, I think it is time you've already hinted to bring in Dimmy Gee, a man who many still think of perhaps like a Shrek-like figure with ham-sized fingers, inability to hold small objects, stumbling through life, sort of breaking furniture as he goes. This isn't true anymore, is it, Dimmy? You've become the svelte, slimline, lovable young dad that we see before us today. This can't entirely be down to Blood Bowl, surely, but is it true you've become a hobbyist? You're a painter now.
Yeah, well, yeah, like apparently so. So, I've painted 9 teams this year. Like, so basically, when I first ever painted, the first team I ever, yeah, exactly. First team I ever painted was Chaos. So I painted something when I was like 14, 15. Well, no, my brother was 14, 15. I was like 12. And then like when you're 12 and you paint something and you compare it to what a 15-year-old paints, like his looked all right. Like to me, it looked amazing at the time. Obviously, it was probably terrible. And I had like the meme with the Space Marine where his head's like all melting into the paint and stuff. So then so the first team I ever painted, I was like, right, I really like Chaos. I'd played like 500 games of Chaos online or something. I was like, I just want to see if I can paint any better than I could when I was a kid. And it turns out I couldn't. It was terrible. And then after that, I found out that Chaos weren't very good at tabletop, right? So then I got invited to this UKTC thing. So I was like, oh, what team's good at tabletop? It's Undead. So I couldn't just play my Chaos team because I thought like we were gonna win it basically. So I got an Undead team, painted them, and like I never would have painted them had I not had the deadline for UKTC, and it took me like a year and a half to paint like one team. So then that happened, played the game, whatever. I went to like 3 or 4 tournaments playing Undead and stuff, and then I was just like, oh, like I want to play something different and stuff. And I did start painting like other things as well, like Necromunda and stuff. So like I went through this mad transition where I just gave up drinking, started fasting and all this stuff. Like I went on a bit of a health kick, and then like painting became like my substitute for drinking almost. Like so instead of sitting at home having 4 beers a night, I'd paint 4 models a night, which is weird. And I just started really loving it, like really enjoying it, and like it just like really is good for my head, like mentally as well. Like it's just like almost meditative, or I don't know how you say it, but it's just
Therapeutic.
like, yeah. It basically like I just chill out. I got a box of models in front of me, and then I came up with the idea because one of the ways you get better at Blood Bowl, right, is playing every team. Like you got to play all the races, find out their strengths and weaknesses and stuff. Well, in my opinion, all right. I see your faces, but
No, I'm just thinking that there's a stage beyond that when you realise they're all the same. There is only one Blood Bowl team.
well, you
But
sound like Elliot
yeah,
now. You sound like Elliot. But yeah, so like now I've got this goal. Like so, like, I like to have like mini goals and stuff. Like I don't like the whole I'm gonna take the best star player with the best team to every rule set and try and win everything that I can. Like because I had a couple of very miserable experiences with like star players and broken stuff and silly rule sets that I don't really want to mess around with. So I just said to myself, right, I'm just gonna get a race, paint it, own it, like, because I like owning the models. I like having like I've got like literally next to me is my ghoul who like I know like I've played with him. Do you know what I mean? I've got him like I remember all the games that I've played with him and stuff. So like I like to own the team, paint the team, and then play the team. And I'm 11 races in now. 11 races in. So I played my 11th one yesterday at Brighton, and
I mean, Liam, are you as aghast as this I am? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and Runbad just seems to be like on board with it all. Like this is
yeah,
normal
Runbad's
behaviour for the two of them.
Horrendous.
I mean, it's something you give. I don't know. With painting, I find it's like you literally take something that is just a hunk of plastic and you turn it into something that's your own, right? And I don't know. I
creative,
enjoy that.
yeah.
Yeah, and then like I said, you keep it forever. It's something that's actually useful for the game, and I enjoy it a lot. I said over it, to take it to like even one model, like Dimmy said, he does a few a night. You take that one model and you just make it as nice as you can over a couple hours. Like it feels like there's
Yeah, it's
definitely an
like
artistic level to that to some degree, right?
you could
Even
play a
if you're not
computer
great at it, right?
game. Sorry, mate. You could play a computer game all night. You got nothing to show for it the next day. You
That's true.
paint 4 minis. That mini's gonna be there forever. And like, it's just that self satisfaction, dopamine, whatever.
I
Like
guess
it
maybe
is.
for me, if I spent 4 hours painting a mini, then the next morning I'd look at it and think, "My God, you wasted 4 hours of your life. That looks ridiculous. Don't show it to anyone. It's humiliating.
Yeah, I've been the same.
Hide that somewhere, bury it, and never tell anyone you wasted 4 hours doing that." I guess that's what I would be thinking. Liam, you're nodding. Is that?
Yeah, exactly the same. One utter waste of my time. 5 hours for this disgusting blobby model. Never again.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just
I
a
mean,
question of
I guess I'm
what do you do as
jealous.
an
Like
alternative?
people that are super religious, I look at what they've got and I think I can never have that, but it must feel kind of nice. I mean, when you
Must be
describe,
nice, yeah.
spending 4 hours really doing something intricate and looking at it and going, "That's a good thing," but I wouldn't have that moment. That's the problem.
You would.
Exactly
It
the
maybe not
same.
the first team, but
Yeah, you would.
Right.
it's not. It's really not like there's some key techniques. You do like YouTube will teach you anything, right? You got Thulian in chat. Thulian is extremely talented and is more than happy to help you with anything. So
So I
while
was
your
telling you
first team
about
you wouldn't be
slap
proud of,
chop.
your second or your third you would, I bet.
I've tried. Relentlessly, Runbad. No matter what you say, I will always flipping hate painting.
Yeah.
It is
You
a
may hate it.
nightmare.
I'm not saying you won't hate it. I'm saying you won't be as bad at it as you think.
All right.
So then I'll be spending lots of
Yeah.
time to still hate it, but not be
You
You
as
may be
terrible at
you
it.
may be grimacing the entire time, but you
This
will
is
be
not.
okay.
This is really not selling me on it. When I could be playing a game I enjoy playing instead, I think I'll. I mean, call me crazy, but I think I'll do
But
that.
that's the thing. Like the time I'm spending painting isn't the time that I could be playing it. It's
Right.
it's because like if I can play Blood Bowl, I'm gonna play Blood Bowl over paint. I'm not gonna say sorry lads, I'm not coming. I'm gonna I'm gonna like gloss varnish my Minotaur instead. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like it's just I just love Blood Bowl that much, and then like painting the thing with painting is the more you do it, the better you get at it. The better you get at it, the more rewards you get through seeing what you've done with it. If you see what I mean. So like. I mean, at the end of the day, it breaks my heart when I saw your team painted by Hammers at Brighton, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is like the best team that I've ever seen."
It
You
was
know what I
stunning,
mean? And
isn't it?
it's like,
Stunning stuff.
I'm never gonna get there, and I'm fully happy to not like get there, but it is just like, oh my god, I wish I was that good, sort of thing. But it's
But it's the same thing. If you work at it for years, in 5 years' time, you're going to look back at what you do now and be like, "Oh my god!" You know what I mean? If you continue to evolve
well,
as a painter.
this is where that I want to own every team, paint every team, and play every team. So in 5 years or in 20 years, when I don't play Blood Bowl anymore, who knows? Like I've got every team that I've ever played, and I can look back and go, I went to that tournament with that team, I went to that tournament with that team, and I'm just building memories for the future, basically.
Okay, I have to admit, Dimmy, I mean, I love a hobbyist, and I love painters, and I love my toys, and I love Blood Bowl, and I love everyone in Blood Bowl. But I have been at the NAFC a couple of times, and I've sat down with someone, and they've sat opposite me, and I've said, "Oh, that's a nice looking team." They go, "Yeah, I've just painted them, so I'm really looking forward to playing them." And do you know what I think then?
They're
Free
shit.
win. Free win.
Yeah.
I'm not saying free win.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
thought
saying
they were
I
gonna
like
do
my
World
odds
Cup
at that
before.
moment
It's
usually.
not the case.
Is
Yeah.
that harsh of me? And do you feel that's
No,
yeah?
I
You
don't
agree,
think
Liam?
it
Yeah,
is.
that's.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's,
God
yeah,
bless the paint it and play it.
Yeah.
But
God bless them. Thank you for the win.
yeah, thank you for the win. Yeah, I mean, I know it does. I sound horrible now, don't I? This is not going to help me. We're not the toxic elite. I was joking about all of that. Can painters be genuinely competitive, or do they love their toys too much?
Oh yeah,
Hammers.
of course they can. Yeah, Hammers
Hammers.
is really good at Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thulian's not so bad either.
yeah, Thulian's
Yeah,
really good as well.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And his painting is top quality. Yes, Glosh varnishing your Minotaur. Yes, do tell
It's
people
just
you're doing that of an evening.
it's
Please.
more uncommon, right? You don't get many fantastic painters that are exceptional at the game as well.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before. My brother plays golf with a chap who paints Blood Bowl miniatures, and he likes to paint them because, unlike say, Warhammer Army, each one can be completely individual. There's only a limited number. You don't have to paint hundreds. You just paint 12 or 14 or whatever you're doing. And I think he has been to play a league Blood Bowl, but mainly he's a painter. And that's what he loves. He just loves painting. And I actually think there's more of those than there is players, because the number of models that Games Workshop sell, there's a lot of people out there just loving their painting. I wish they would all come and play with their toys in tournaments as well. But perhaps we're the ones that are madly, and perhaps we should spend years becoming sort of moderately all right at painting, and then turn
No,
up to a
no,
tournament
like,
and see that everyone else is still better than us.
Just different aspects of
yeah.
the same thing, right? So it's one big hobby with loads of different aspects that people
Absolutely.
take seriously in different ways, right? So
Yeah, long may they be a best painted at every tournament I attend.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree
Not
with that.
stunty,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am, of course, joking. Anyone that's taken me seriously has clearly not watched this before. Whatever you're doing in Blood Bowl, I hope you get great joy and love from it, and I offer you nothing but love in return. But Dimmy, as well as becoming a hobbyist, someone who paints a team and then plays it and then paints another, God bless you. You've gone further than that.
I
You've become a
have.
man of responsibility. Now, everyone might need a stiff drink here. I'm certainly having one. I sadly wasn't able to come, so I didn't get to enjoy the spectacle. But you ran a tournament.
I did, and it was honestly, it was the best thing I
like
ever
a dog
did.
listening to Beethoven. It entices me as an idea. How'd it go?
It was amazing. It went really, really well, and it was really, really good, and it was hilarious as well. Oh my God, walking around and seeing everyone's misery was just an absolute joy, an absolute joy. I saw crazy things.
It's a
So
unique experience where at least half the room and probably more are really not enjoying themselves for quite a lot of the time they're there.
everyone looked so stressed. Like, so I got everyone free dice, and someone threw one of my dice at me, like by game two. Like they were just like, "You can have them back. I don't want them." They literally threw it at me across the room, which is hilarious. So this all goes back to like changing my lifestyle sort of thing. Like stop drinking all this nonsense. But anyway, I got right into Stoic philosophy, and it basically says like you should just do something that's way out of your comfort zone, basically. So I was like, right, what am I gonna do? What do I enjoy Blood Bowl? What's out of my comfort zone? Oh, I've seen tournaments, and like honestly, there was a lot of tournaments I went to with rule sets that I thought were not very good, or like not as competitive as they could be. That you got like silly star snotlings running around everywhere, and like the southeast, like one of my bigger goals is just make the southeast like, because I go up north and I just get really jealous of the tournaments, like really high standards, like good rules, like good people, big turnouts and stuff. And I looked at the southeast and was like, whoa, like I want to put my own sort of like competitive spin on it or whatever. I stole
Is this one of the
Fulian's.
moments where I mentioned that when you've gone up north, you've always gone to really big scale, major
There
events
is
run by
that.
experienced people?
Yeah.
Whereas down south, you've gone to like Bob's Come and Play Blood Bowl Burger Afternoon,
Yeah,
which
but
may have a different level of professionalism put into
That
organising it,
sounds
maybe.
excellent.
no, of course, I understand that completely, but there isn't really anything down south. Like you got Thrud, and then what else?
the
Nothing.
entire London
Like,
tournament scene. But yeah,
well,
okay.
yeah, but they're not like your
Swindon, I
150.
hear, is a hotbed of Blood Bowl.
200s. Is it? Is it? I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not knocking on any. I mean, Brighton's amazing. Like, Folkestone's amazing. Like, London's amazing. I go to all of these places, sort of thing. But like, there's nothing in Hastings as well, which is where I'm from, the town that I'm living in. So like, I was like, right, let's put something like let's bring Blood Bowl to my hometown.
Runbad has to sled 2 hours through the snow, fighting off wolves to play Blood Bowl. He has to go for 2 days at least. Yeah, and you're complaining there isn't some within walking distance.
You drove.
Basically, yeah.
We drove to one in Tibbum's tournament in Montreal, and it's a 3 hour drive. And me and my brother were like, okay, we'll see how it goes. Like, it was a snowstorm, but it wasn't too bad. And we got about halfway there, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, we easily could have died. And then I got there. We drive all the way there. We get there. I win the fucking wooden spoon, get in the car, go home. Like, it was the best day of my life. But honestly, it was a lot of fun still. But it was like, about halfway there, I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, this is insane. But here we are.
I mean, Tibbum obviously is a goblin. I
Yes.
just have to ask, is he a goblin the whole weekend?
Yep,
Of course he is.
he is.
Of course he is. Liam,
Every tournament
you've
I've ever
given
seen
up
him at.
proper sport
Oh.
for something where a man is a goblin all weekend.
Yep, absolutely. 3 hours to see him.
Sometimes our choices seem odd to us. Dimmy, so you ran your tournament, and Runbad, let's bring you back in on this as well. You've run tournaments too. What does that bring to you? Because again, you were just guys that found this game online, started playing a bit, and now you're running tournaments. Why? And is it something you plan to do more of?
Yes. Yeah, it's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean, the game is like, obviously we all have a large passion for the game, but a large part of it is just wanting to bring more people into the game, right? For exposure
Yeah.
and for like the city I live in, it's like I said, 150,000 people, but there's no Blood Bowl scene. There was zero Blood Bowl scene. So we started the first tournament, got some local guys interested as well as some of the guys that I usually go elsewhere to play with coming into town. We had 16 for the first tournament. It went really well. Last tournament we were up to 20. And then we've got another one coming up in November. So it's starting to grow, and it's just about bringing more people into the game and bringing people in for a good time, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the geographical challenges of Canada, the more of those in different areas, the better. And not to mention, as I said earlier, that the city that I live in is very central to a lot of the large cities in Ontario, and really has the ability to draw from, a couple million people. So for me personally, as a motivator long term, there's a possibility that my city becomes more of a hotbed. So I'm looking to build that from the ground up.
What we're all
Tournament by
seeking is a
tournament.
hotbed. I think it's the same in North America with the travel. Does that mean again that you're trying to put more of an event on than just a tournament, as you said, with the pub
Yeah,
evenings and often sevens tagged on? And as I said, sometimes these more slightly out there rule sets to make it a real, one-off event that really is memorable. Is that a driver, do you
yeah.
think?
We haven't really done the sevens yet, because often I find the Friday night people when they do get in there, it's kind of late. So we'll kind of grab a reservation at a restaurant. Everybody kind of meet up and have some beers, and then like I said, we're into the tournament for the weekend. But certainly like the social aspect afterward and so on. People are coming from out of town. Some of them don't really know anybody else there. There's only a couple of people they're coming with. So getting everybody together and kind of showing them the town a little bit, and making it more of a social event definitely makes it more fun for everybody, I think.
What about your numbers, Dimmy? I mean, famously at a time where Games Workshop ran a competition for people that had won Blood Bowl events, one guy organised a league between himself and his dog and managed to win it several times to obviously enter multiple times. When I thought of you in Hastings, I did think it would be you and maybe Goblin Scorcher, Greenskin Phil, and perhaps someone else's dog on making up the fourth number. Did you get decent numbers? Was it just locals, local people?
It was 36. 36. So I was chuffed, like first
Yeah.
ever tournament, absolutely. And like to be fair, like the place it was in, was like a cricket ground and stuff, and it was 36. Like we could do more, but like it was quite nice with the fit of how it went and stuff, and it was like, yeah, like I mean I'm kind of in a centralized area, so like it was a bit of a trip for some people, and it was on a Sunday as well, which was a little bit of a shame, but it's going to be on a Saturday next year. But I'm in between Folkestone, Brighton, and London, so you've got three massive leagues, like all within like a triangle sort of thing, which is perfect. And then I had a couple of guys come down from Sheffield as well, Ben Somniac and that from Twitch chat as well. So I had some fans like some mates come down from like really far away. But it was a really, really great day. And like I say, I love Blood Bowl that much. And sometimes it's really nice not to have to play Blood Bowl to get the social aspect. And then just to watch, like, honestly, I always used to think my games of Blood Bowl were so insane and I was so unlucky. And then being able to walk around a room with like 30 guys or 30 people playing Blood Bowl, you realise that everyone's game is just as insane as yours. Like, there was a guy who sat next to me. You played him, Demology, and he was playing Wood Elves against Vampires, and it was Carl's Vampires, and he had 4 kickoff events in the first 2 games. And he had a Wood Elves with a tree, and the Officious Ref, is it the one that stuns? His tree got stunned twice in the same game, like from Officious Ref. Against vampires as woodies, and I was just laughing my head off. Like, I'm probably the worst person to be around when that's
What a generous tournament organizer. Come up and mock
Yeah.
someone who's doing really badly. That's always fun.
It's like
So,
every
not
time
playing it, was that really... Because, like, you're in as a player, Dimmy. That's...
I didn't want to run. I didn't want to play in the first one because
Sure.
I was so worried about running it. And like now I've run it, I can kind of like tour play does a lot of it for you. So I don't know if it's different with score. And I'm not saying. I mean, like now I would be happy to play in it if I had to. But like for the first one, I definitely just wanted to like just watch it and chill.
Yeah, a lot
and,
of
like,
TOs make up the spare player in case anyone drops out or in case there's an odd number. And things
That's
like
what I
that.
was going to do. Essentially, I had a team with me, and if someone dropped out, I'd be the spare man. And like to be honest with you, this is another thing that people who've never run a tournament probably don't realize. There is actually quite a lot going on. Like there's quite a lot to organize, like with the venue and like getting everyone's tickets, getting their teams in on time. Like it can be
Working
quite
out what that
stressful.
smell is.
Well, yeah, it can be quite stressful, and then you're like, oh, is everyone all right? Is everyone comfortable and stuff like that? So, like, they put in a lot of work basically, and like, when I go to tournaments now, I'm always like, I go out on my way to be a bit more like, thank you very much for putting the event on and stuff, like, because they don't have to do it at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
it is something that they do like out of the love for the game or the community or whatever. And
But I mean, surely there's money in it.
there's like by the time you bought the prizes and the venues and stuff, like there is a little bit, but it's not like it's not worth the hours that you put into organising it. Like
Is
it's
it?
less.
I mean, I was joking. I don't think anyone's making money hand over fist
No,
about
no,
running Blood Bowl
it
events.
wouldn't even be minimum wage. It'd be like half of minimum wage or something like that.
Is
Like
that? But there's a risk there, isn't there? You've got to book a venue and there's some outlay costs. Is it? Is it a
yeah,
worry?
you have to just. Well, I just paid it all up front and then prayed enough people would come. So, but the thing is as well is like the way I
Did the
did it.
family know that the
We
Dimmy G fortune was invested in Blood Bowl entrepreneurship?
Well, Michelle came with me when I sorted it all out. But like basically the way I did it was I just the prizes and the stuff people got better with the more people that signed up. So like I got all the custom dice made, I got trophies made like for like Stunty, Kaz, like everyone got a trophy. I had teams that like prizes and stuff. So essentially the more people that come, the better the stuff that they got when they got there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So and if they didn't come, then they just wouldn't have got the stuff, you know. So that's the way I did it. But...
Runbad, have you felt the same? Well, you know, is money on the line in these events? You've presumably got to book a venue and get some stuff for people to have. And
So I got a local shop that is quite big in all the other Games Workshop stuff, and so they didn't really have much of a Blood Bowl scene, but they did have a lot of decent amount of merchandise. So they've been very open to I agree a certain amount of the tournament funds go to buying purchases, teams and so on for prizing, and they let us use the venue for free for that. So for that, it's it's not a lot. The big thing I find is like the little takeaways and stuff like that you get for folks are sometimes hard to find. But I've taken at least a small loss on both the tournaments I've run so far. But I'm okay with that, right? Like it's not, to me, it's not really about money. And if I'm out $50 or $100 at the end of the day, and everybody has a good weekend, it's it's a small price to pay, I think, for growing the game and just having a good time for everyone.
what sort of tournament interests you, Liam? What is this the sort of thing you'd want to go to, Dimmy and his 32 people in a cricket club in Hastings? Or do you like the bigger ones?
If I was local, yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I do prefer the local ones, the bigger ones, as it were. I like bigger tournaments. But I suppose I don't mind smaller ones as long as there's a quality field. You know what I mean? If I could go to a 20-man tournament and play K-Fogged, Hank Devo, yourself, Purple Goo, Jumanji. You know, if those are my 5-6 games, that'd be fantastic. I prefer that to a bigger one even. So it's more about the strength of field for me personally.
Because I mean, we have a huge, vibrant scene in the UK, but I mean, people, Dimmy saying I don't know what's around in the south. Let me tell you, out in Aldershot, there's a hotbed of Blood Bowl. Down in the southwest, there's a load of Blood Bowl going on. Not around just the Bonehead podcast, but there's a whole southwest series as well. I wasn't kidding about Swindon. I hear Swindon has a very active Blood Bowl community. Obviously, you know now about the whole southeast. London has a fairly active scene and looking to get more so. I think there is a sort of gap slightly north of London. There's not much I know. There used to be a scene in St Albans. I think there's only just Chicken. But he ran a tournament there and that was well attended. But I'm not sure how big the scene is up there now. And then, of course, in the Midlands, there's plenty of Blood Bowl, and then from there up into the northwest and northeast, there's loads of Blood Bowl going on. But I do sometimes feel we're in little pockets, and maybe there could be, I don't know, perhaps we've got 400 tournaments across the world, and maybe 200 tournaments in England, but do we have sort of 5 or 6 that are the really big ones, maybe? Or I mean, should there even be a sort of Premier League of tournaments, which certain ones are allocated, and maybe even rankings, they could be double the points or something. I mean, I know there's the NAFC, which is a major, there's the Welsh Open, which is also a major. The Scottish Open, I guess, is coming up in popularity, and it's sort of slightly rising. Water Bowl has a good rep. Monkey Bowl has a good rep. I could name you half a dozen tournaments that are perhaps the ones people think of as the biggest, but I don't know how formal any of that is. Would that interest you more, Liam, if there was a real, these are the big ones, these are the top 8 in Britain in the year, or the top 6 or whatever, those are the ones to really make your name at?
Yeah, if I could get to them all, I think that's what I'd do. If they were guaranteed to be premier events, like big 100-man events with like top quality coaches, I'd definitely, those are the ones I'd make sure I'd go to every year, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think of Water Bowl as similar to NAFC, but in fact, I'd say Water Bowl probably the quality is a little bit higher in terms of coaches. Obviously, a smaller pool, but a higher quality.
I mean, I think the NAFC also has a duty to pull in as many people as it can,
Yes,
to be like I think Wimbledon should be, for example. Anyone that plays tennis can enter at some point, and perhaps if you win 120 games over the course of 4 months, you might end up in the 88th wild card of Wimbledon.
Yeah.
I think if it's a national championships, if you want to turn up, they should try and make the space to get everyone in that wants to be in.
Yeah.
But there is something coming up which I have heard a little bit about. Was it the NAF Super Series? I think Jock's on about trying to create.
I've heard a tiny. I've not read into it at all. But yeah, it sounds like someone's putting effort into making something slightly more competitive. Maybe I haven't really read it. I'll be honest.
But yeah, I mean, perhaps just maybe on numbers attending or something. Perhaps we could have some sort of. I don't know. Would we need a tiering system in Blood Bowl? Tier 1 event, a tier 2, a tier 3 event. I mean, I've been to events where there was sort of 22, 24 coaches, and it doesn't feel the same as, say, an event with 50. And it doesn't feel the same as an event with 360. These feel like radically different experiences to me.
There's something like very, it's a slightly big-headed to say, but there's something very satisfying about being in a hall of 300, 400 people and playing on the top row. Something real. There's a level of satisfaction you get from that.
It's that competitive streak in you. I tell you, that's what you're here for. That's your love. Whereas Runbad's here for the gambling and obviously the doing silly things on stream that aren't Blood Bowl because North America. And Dimmy's here to try and take over the world. What's the limit on your ambitions, Dimmy? How big do you want Battle Bowl to be? Do you want to pull in 100 people and get all the top names, or do you like something nice and local for local people?
I mean, it could be as big as it needed to be. Like, it's the venue that I'm at is where they host like national chess championships. So they go like way up. The numbers go way up. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone wants to come to Hastings and play Blood Bowl, they're welcome. And there's a massive issue with the UK Blood Bowl scene at the moment where every tournament sells out. And it sells out stupidly fast. And like that's another thing that I want to sort of be on my thing is like if you want to come you can come and there's no there's not going to be a sorry we're sold out in 10 minutes and because you don't know someone that knows me that you haven't got a ticket so yeah, it could be as big as it wants to be. Like I don't really have massive aspirations. I wanted to do it as something that pushed myself out of my comfort zone, which I've done, and then I enjoyed it, so I want to do it again, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to try and make it better every time, and we'll see how it goes.
Now, talking about massive ambitions, I happen to be aware there's a rumour. The deadline is yet to come. It's in November that we'll hear who's bidding for the World Cup. But I do hear some rumours of a possible bid from England. Not as we expected and as was revealed on One World One Blood Bowl, Newcastle. Newcastle sadly feels the venue they wanted to use won't be ready in time, and maybe slightly daunted by that and some of the other logistical issues. They've stepped aside and said not this time. But I hear Brighton might be about to throw their hat in the ring and enter the fray. Would that excite us? Would a World Cup in Britain be a good thing, do we think? And Runbad, would you come?
Absolutely. For sure. I mean, like I said, I plan on going to each World Cup from here on out, or at least for the foreseeable future. And I've never been to England, so I would definitely be more than happy to come to Brighton.
Liam, would you travel all that way down?
Maybe. I'm not sure. It's a tough one. I'd probably just for the sake of going to such like a big event, right? That'd be pretty cool. But at the same time, I'm not sure. 3 days of Blood Bowl sounds like a lot, man.
It really is a lot of Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
And Dimmy, I mean, that's obviously right on your doorstep, Brighton. You'd have to go, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'd win it, mate. I'd win it. I'm literally, I'm gonna win a World Cup one day. I promise you. Promise you. But yeah, I'd honestly love it to be in Brighton. It'd be so good. Like in England, where Blood Bowl was created, like and like honestly, I think, like I don't know how. Obviously, I wasn't in Alicante, so I don't know how like the spacing was and stuff. I can't really visualize it in the UK, but like if it got all of the Blood Bowlers out, there would be loads of them. Like if anything was going to top the numbers of Spain, surely it would be England.
So, I mean, 2,350, somewhere around that, we're in Spain. You think in Brighton we could get more?
Yeah, I think England's got to be like one of the biggest populations of Blood Bowlers, right? Isn't it? Surely. Like I don't know. San will tell me I'm completely wrong and I'm a moron, but
And I'd have thought the South Coast should be attractive to the French. We should get the Spanish, the Germans. Still.
yeah, it's not like yeah, that's it. Like I don't know. Like Brighton's Brighton's just down the road. I mean, wherever the World Cup is, I'm going to try and get there, and I'm going to try my best to get a team together that I think that can do something.
Yeah,
The World
teams
Cup
with
in
seats for the World
Alicante.
Cup was often tricky to find. But last time I was very lucky. There were 12 people went under the team fumble banner. We were able to put 2 squads together, which is amazeballs.
Yeah.
Just not sorted into any order, just randomly thrown together, and we went and had a load of fun. I would highly recommend it. Now, while I have 3 lovely people here and talking about their journeys through Blood Bowl, I do want to come to where you see Blood Bowl and you going in the future, so we will end on that. Before we do, let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's happening in Blood Bowl at the moment. Obviously, I've been slightly off the scene. And not only have Gnomes launched, which we have talked about a bit on the stream, so I want to know what all of your impressions are of Gnomes. I still think they're new enough that I'm interested in what you all think. So let's start there, and then we're going to obviously move on to the latest revelation we've sort of half had from Games Workshop, which I'm sure you've seen something about, which is the Chorfs. But Gnomes, Dimmy, as a painter, all painters seem to be really excited by painting up gnomes with their badgers and their geese and their foxes. Do they tempt you?
No, to be honest, I remember where I was when I found out about gnomes. I was in the Kent Team Championship, and then someone was like, "There's a new team. There's a new team." I was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And then they were like, "It was gnomes," and I was like, "Ah, oh, right, okay, all right." And then yeah, I saw the minis. Like, I know this is gonna sound absolutely mental, by the way, but like they were just a bit too childish for me. Like the game of fantasy elves and orcs and all that. I just
Yeah.
thought gnomes were a little bit too like ridiculous.
This is not grown up enough for me. Quote.
Yeah,
Dimmy
yeah,
G.
it ruins my. I think Lord of the Rings when I'm playing.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know what you mean.
feel the Smurfs. You know what I mean? So like I don't really
I
like.
think it's
study
amazing
teams.
I haven't seen any painted as Smurfs yet, by the way. That's a clear oversight.
Oh, they exist. They definitely exist. I've seen them. Like you got Gargamel as the tree. And you got like all the Smurfs and stuff.
What
Like,
depresses me is that I know who you meant. I understand who Gargamel is.
I have no
That
idea who
depressed me.
Gargamel is. The name made me laugh.
he's
Though.
the guy with the big nose in the
Yeah,
like
he's the bad
monk's
guy in the
robe.
Smurfs cartoons.
Yeah.
Liam, Smurfs, gnomes, clearly up your street as a competitive player. You're going to want to be put dodge on 6 of them little buggers and go and wrestle away people's balls, wouldn't you?
I think they could do some real work in certain rule sets, obviously, but just not for me. Stunties in general, just not for me. I played Snotlings twice at UKTC, and it's just not Blood Bowl. It's just not Blood Bowl at all. It's like I was playing Orcs, the most Blood Bowl team. You know what I mean? It's like
Yep.
they've got one game plan. They're quite one-dimensional. They can't do much of anything apart from base men's and bang men's. They got the Snotlings just doing whatever, and it just doesn't feel like Blood Bowl to me.
And is that just
But,
normal Snotlings or Snotlings as a base for a star?
um,
Because they are the only swarming race now, aren't they?
yeah, they were both just normal because it was UKTC. I don't think there were
Right.
any stars,
So
but,
they just
but
bring
still,
huge
it was
numbers, and then
yeah, huge numbers. Like that took like Hail Mary on bombers at the back that were just rolling Hail Mary every turn, and it was just wasn't Blood Bowl. I just felt like I don't know. It just feels like there's a lack of strategy. It's just right. I'm going to do these things, and then I'm going to throw a bomb. Way. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, right. Well, either you win or you don't from your random inputs of decisions.
so for you, you'd much rather. I mean, I think like me, that variance is fun. We play a game that we know the best player won't always win. It's not chess. You can turn up, see someone's much better than you. I mean, like yesterday I beat Andy Dover, who I do think of as slightly better than me at Blood Bowl. Not massively better. I think there are better than him in the world. I think he's one little step down. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I lucked him. I absolutely lucked him to pieces. And mostly if I'm going to beat Andy, I'm going to need some luck to do it. And that's good. I like that I'm in a game where that can happen. I mean, he'd probably beat me, 6, 7 out of 10, but a few times I'm going to get him too. So we can't take that entirely away. But it sounds like Snotlings are too far down that high variance area for you, I think.
Yeah, they're just silly. They're a silly team. They shouldn't be in the game. I think personally.
Any others on your personal hit list?
Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, no, most of them are okay. Like even when you're against like goblins and halflings and stuff, it's 11 men's. They're mostly playing Blood Bowl. You know what I mean? They do have high variance like choices that they'll often make, but that's just part of their decisions. Whereas with Snotlings, it feels like chaos. 2+ anywhere. Your lines of anything don't matter to me. But hey, let's sneaky get DP this person. Waha, let's throw a bomb. Oh, we've got 4 big guys of Mighty Blow, by the way. Enjoy. It's just, I don't know, it's just silly team.
Yeah, I mean, I have some Snotlings. I'm not a huge fan. I haven't managed to find an opportunity to play them yet. But I think I got them fully painted for like 30 quid on eBay, so
Yeah, that's not bad.
felt rude not to. I think I could sell them for more than I paid. Runbad, has the madness of gnomes reached North America?
Yeah, I started a local league last year. I think last November. And I'm playing gnomes for the second season. So I painted up a team, and they're fun, right? I mean, I think without the stars, they obviously lack largely. But with Carla, or Zug, or if even I took the Rodney Roach bait the other day in a league match, and I've never seen like a special ability be used. Like it was literally a short kick blitz. My opponent has 4 people on the ball, and Rodney just fishes it out on a 3+ and just walks away. And it was just like I've never seen a star player's ability have such a huge influence on a game, like in an immediate sense. For sure. I mean, without the stars, they're lackluster. But I think with the stars, they're decent. And they're definitely anti Blood Bowl. But I think we see a lot of teams that are like that now. Vampires are far more prevalent. You got the underworld meta that is kind of faded a little bit now, but it's largely the same thing, right? Not your traditional Blood Bowl. So I think it's obviously creeping more and more
I mean, I'd say the lack of
towards
swarming
what.
has pushed them even more towards foul and retreat, don't engage,
Yeah,
one turn,
absolutely.
and then
So I think like
snipe their
we're
players
getting
away.
to the point where what is real Blood Bowl, right? There's so
Yeah.
many different now crazy styles and crazy things. But yeah, I think the Gnomes are fun. They're a nice addition. It's nice to see a completely new team that has never existed in Blood Bowl come out. I don't know what the last one of those was prior to that. But like I know like Corn was new for this edition,
Yeah,
but they had previously
Corn had
existed,
never really
right?
Games Workshop existed. They were invented by Cyanide for
Oh, is that right? Yeah,
version
I
that
don't.
existed before.
I see for Blood Bowl 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Um,
Gnomes. Now, did you notice while he was talking about it, the guys from above, Dimmy and Hankok, and obviously those of you listening on the podcast won't have noticed the physicality that happened, the smile upon Runbad's face when he talked about the stars, Star Bowl and Snotlings. I mean, Are we all haters of you two hate Star Bowl, don't you? Dimmy, you've said it before, Liam, you said it.
Yeah, bin it.
So
I ban all stars. Like
you
any
ban all
tournament.
stars at your tournament?
Yeah, and if I won't go to certain tournaments if the star rules are there to do stupid stuff. It's just not fun. I didn't have fun. I didn't have fun at Water Bowl
Look at his
this year.
poor little face when he talked about having a star do a fun thing. Why are you taking that away
It was
from
a
people?
league match, to
Horrible
be
man.
fair, league match, but
Okay.
I don't want to travel 2 hours, pay hundreds of pounds to sit down against Snotling Morgs and just watch a guy delete my team in 4 turns and then laugh his head off, be really joyous and happy, and then like I've just wasted a complete day of my life or weekend that I could have spent with my family or something.
But these star builds can be competitive, Liam, can't they? Isn't that what we want? Is it good competitive, or is it?
Competitive in what sense? In sense that like they're better than everyone else. Is that competitive? I don't know.
Yeah, they can do whatever. Yeah, sorry.
It just goes back to not feeling like a puzzle game, feeling much more like a game. I mean, I suppose football is a flowchart, but feeling like I have Morg blitz you, remove player, ha ha ha, sort of thing. It's just not enjoyable, and all the stupid special rules aggravate me as well. It's like
And
it's
it does
not.
seem at times like it's reducing, as you say, a very conceptual game where the joy is in taking good decisions in the moment
Yeah,
to one where it's about building a roster and building a good process you can just repeat throughout the session. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
massively.
I think I'm kind of with you. I much prefer a team, a roster that's giving me opportunities and making me think every turn and
Yeah,
solve problems live than where I feel I've solved them before I turn up to the tournament. Although
yeah.
I am guilty, I have done that before now.
Having 6 games of playing just other teams rather than playing star players, it's so much better. Like you come across one star player team and you feel it. You feel it straight away when you're on the board. It's like this is annoying. It's not like even if it's not particularly good, it's an annoyance. It's like you're taking away my puzzle. You're taking away my puzzle and joy. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Hate
Yeah, I mean,
football.
Coordinates just dropped the like dwarfs into the chat. I mean, interestingly, I think in this rule set, I don't think I've played dwarfs in a tournament. I think they're really struggling against the amount of strong teams that are around. I think they've got a much bigger challenge on than they used to. They can still lose to any agility team if they mess up even once, and they can lose to any of the strength teams because they're just not strong enough anymore to deal with the number of Khorne, Chaos, Black Orcs, Lizards. It's even Orcs. I mean, just strength is everywhere now, and the Orcs now are even faster than them as well as stronger than them. That's a pain in the ass. I'm considering going back to dwarves because I just think they're such a challenge, and I don't think they're particularly good. They had a brief moment in the sun with the Death Roller, but when that got reduced in most tournament rule sets, I think they're really struggling. So they kind of interest me. But also, I want to know what's going to happen, of course, with Chaos Dwarves because they've always been my greatest love, and I think the new rule set looks worth talking about. But Dibby, gnomes, let's just finish you off there. I will finish you off because
Hey.
we should come to you. So what do you think of them?
I
What's your
played them at
gnome take?
UKTC,
Okay,
and
so I mean, I haven't.
oh
Yes,
my
no,
god,
I did. I did play them once. Yeah, I played them up at. It must have been the one I went to Borak Bowl. Someone had them there.
they're a lot better than they sound. Like, oh my god, they're a nightmare. Like the guy, you can just 3+ a guard into a cage, and then you've got 3+ for wrestle, and then like basically, I got myself in loads of trouble. The trees are there. These guards are coming in. He's got trickster, so every time you want to blitz, he's oh, I'm going to move him here, and you're like, oh, actually, I'm not going to blitz him. Like, it's not obvious on the board who the tricksters are. Like, it's not something that you think about. So you're like, right now, I'm going to change my plan again. And then they've all got jump up. I got away from him, ran up the other end, and was like, "Oh, that was a hard drive." And he was like, "All these guys came running back across the
Yeah,
pitch."
yeah, I found that. I ran off with the ball. I destroyed them, laid waste to them. Ran off
Yeah,
with the ball. Thought that's done then. And then half his team's on me.
yeah. They all came running back. I was like, "Go away, leave me alone."
And they're not
Um,
fast. Yeah, they really annoyed me. And of course, in NAF, they can just throw dodge on all the pieces.
that's what he had. Yeah,
Well,
like
great. It's a stunted
7
team where they
dodge.
don't have dodge. So all of your primary skills can just go on dodge, which is instantly makes that person better.
And they've all got wrestle. So
Yeah,
like,
so you've got
if you block,
your Rog
you're on the
jump up
floor.
on at least 6, probably 10 of your gnomes. It's
They were a nightmare. Like I felt exhausted after that game. I felt emotionally drained, mentally drained. Didn't want to play game 6. I was just like, I just want to go home now. But like, they do die. They do die eventually. If you keep hitting them, they will disappear. And it's the foxes are broken as hell. They're like
Yeah.
the most broken player in Blood Bowl at the moment, I think.
How? I mean, you've just been playing Norse, didn't you? You Norsed for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. I was
Was
hoping
it
for
to
some.
win a bet, or
No,
you
no,
just
it's just
painted them,
because
hadn't
I'm
you?
playing the races. I just want to play them.
Yeah.
I won't play them again for ages now because they're ticked off on my NAF
This is who
page.
he's become, Liam. He likes to paint them and then play them, and then he puts them in a cupboard and looks at them.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Where's the guy from Blood Bowl 2 that said, I will be the best player in the world?
yeah, I did say that.
We
He did.
change. Our priorities change. We grow older and fatter, and all our hair falls off.
I'm less delusional now.
Well, but isn't that? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Probably a bad thing in terms of being competitive. But then like,
That you're still
I
going to win
mean,
the World Cup.
well, I will try. I will try my hardest. I probably
You
would
see, the
have
Dimmy of
believed
2 years
it
ago would have gone, yeah, damn right I am. I'm the champ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
true.
Which is like, I mean, it's hard to say really, right? Like, what is more important, winning something or having a load of friends and having a good time? Like now, I'm at the stage where I'd rather just have a load of good friends and have a good time, right? Whereas 2 years ago, I would rather win everything and screw everybody else. So who
I mean, what
cares?
I think is great about Blood Bowl is you can do all of it. You can be a painter and a hobbyist who then likes to play that team, and respect to you. I think that's beautiful. You can be someone who's trying desperately hard to be really good, to be competitive, to rise to the top of whatever a tree there is in Blood Bowl. You can just enjoy the madness, the chaos, the community of it, the making the friendships. You can just realise you need to get out in the house more, and it's something that will do that to you. And at whatever age, to get away from just life and do something else that is completely based on dice and randomness and your decisions, I think is a wonderful break from every other stress in the world. I think it's great that Blood Bowl can give us all such different things, and yet, bring four disparate people together to talk about it, and to talk about how much fun they have doing it. Gnomes, I guess what I like is that they didn't arrive like Zons and like Underworld at the very top of the tree, but I think they're going to be better than some people realise. When people that know how to use Stunty really get their hands on them and really use them, I think they're going to be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm particularly weirded out that the foxes are stronger than beer boars. I mean, how can any human justify a fox being stronger than a boar? I know which I'd pick in a fight, and it's not the fox.
Mm.
Strength 2 foxes, that needs to be strength 1, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I just think that everyone having wrestle and then being stunty and easily put dodge on. It's
Yeah,
terrifying. It's terrifying.
and they
The
got guard.
they always got threat on the ball.
Yeah, and they
You are
start
never
with guard.
safe. Yeah, it's just you're
Insane.
never safe.
Insane. Runbad, you haven't played them yet. Do you think I'm right? I mean, obviously I'm right. But are you also going to take this chance to agree that I'm right, that foxes should be strength 1?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely. I don't know if it really changes their style a whole lot. I did have a fox yesterday get dauntless charge with Grom Brindle and then sack my vampire.
Lovely.
Which,
Lovely. Of course it should.
but again, right? It's it's still part of the game. It's definitely maybe not I don't know what the star players like. I don't really take them myself a lot. I've only taken them once. I took them to Chaos Cup last year. I took Ivar. It's the only star I've ever taken. But I think they just kind of they change the puzzle, right? They make it a different puzzle, and obviously sometimes Morg's just going to delete your whole team. But trying to find a way to kind of insulate yourself against that is part of the game as well. I think. I don't know. But sure, you're going to get wiped off the board sometimes. For
I mean,
sure.
I think there's space to have tournaments that are, allowing the stars. I know the painters love painting stars. Everyone I know that paints tells me that all the time. I know the stars sell in abundance at Games Workshop, so they make loads of money off them. And while that's the case, we're going to have rules for stars. I think it's correct that some tournament organisers have ruled stars out entirely. I think there is a portion of the Blood Bowl community that would rather play star-free Blood Bowl at times.
Yeah, the next tournament I run is star free. I think I'm going to do one each year that's going to be star free, and then the one in the spring will have stars. Just kind of mix it up a bit, give something for everybody. The one thing I think is with no stars in this kind of rule set, stunties immediately become unattractive to people that don't want to play stunties, essentially, right?
Yeah.
But to me, I think that's how something should be, right? Like that's the whole point of them.
Liam, I
so.
see your heart breaking for the stunty coaches.
Yeah, good. Poor
Yeah.
stunty coaches.
Well, I mean, that's just it, right? I mean, stunties know they're going to get pounded, but the one that's gets pounded.
It used to be the deal. That was why there was a stunty cup.
100%.
Is if you came as a stunty, if you got 50%, you'd done incredible, and people would be cheering
Absolutely.
you on.
And that's how it should be, right? I don't love that stunties now are competitive in that sense because of stars.
Star caddies, aren't they? Basically.
Yeah.
I don't love that as it is, but I mean,
If I turn up a tournament, someone says I'm coaching halflings, I go, okay, so is it morglings
Grifflings.
or grifflings?
and when he tells you he has no stars,
Then I'm like, well, then let's play. But yeah, I respect you as a coach now.
Enjoy your time.
But I do respect that you're trying to do stunties. Whereas I agree, stunty star caddies, I'm not sure that's quite stunties to me. I'm not sure that's in the spirit of stunties. However, I probably my favourite is a tournament where anything that's tier 1 or tier 2, as I would think of it, is not getting access to stars.
Yep.
I think the sort of worst of the non-stunty teams, if they're getting access to a pretty shit star, I'm fine with it. Like if Chaos can just about afford double drool with whatever he is, the one that's kind of a little bit balling for them, so they can just put everything else into kill skills, I'm sort of alright with it. But really, I want no stars for anything other than stunties, and I want stunties really restricted to maybe one. So if there is a nightmare on the pitch, I've only got to worry about Morg, and even then maybe rule out the megastars and let them have your Rumbelows and your other sort of slightly more fun, slightly more silly ones. I know Rumbelo can be a nightmare too.
I was going to say, if you come across Rumbelo,
incredible.
He's a right pain in the ball.
And nor does he throw bombs, and he hasn't got +2 DP or +2 MB. So let's rule the utter madness out and let Stunty still have some fun, maybe. And then I'm all right with the balance. I get that, you're not alone, Hankok. I do know other people that absolutely want a completely star-free environment and let Stunties be proper Stunties again. Yeah. And I think that's kind of cool. And it's great if we do have all of that variety in how we build tournaments. There's a guy who runs the London tournament scene that I often go to, Tom Loyne. He's been on the show before, Loinster. He runs 3 tournaments a year usually. One called Super Bowl, which is usually the sort of the most competitive rule set that he can find that is as balanced as possible for everybody. One that's called Borak Bowl, where every race gets 2 mutations at least. So you can even have a 2-headed wood elf. Though no one ever brings wood elves, and it confuses me as to why I keep swearing to and then not getting around to it. Because who wants to really coach wood elves? And then the third one, which has some other theme that I forget, but again is different again. So they're all very different types of tournament. I think one that's more or less completely star free, and I think it's cool. I think even that one person can run all of those. It'd be interesting to learn which ones fill up the fastest, but it shouldn't be competitive. It should be variety. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about before I talk about your Blood Bowl futures and we wrap up, Chorfs. We've had them sort of half released, so we're going to get 4 Chorfs and I think 2 Flame Bearers and at least 6, maybe 8 Hobgoblins in the pack. I think it looked like 8, 2, and 4 to me. And then if you want your Minotaur and you want your Chaos Bull Centaurs, you're going to kill your Bull Centaurs, yeah. You're going to have to get them from Forge World, but at least the team is coming back in a new form. What do you think of them so far from what we've heard?
Got worse.
They've got worse.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, they haven't released stat lines yet, but if the stat lines are similar, they've been nerfed quite heavily.
So a shadowing, stabbing Hobgoblin doesn't excite you?
Not really.
And what about the flame?
If it was Agi 4 and had dodge, maybe it'd be a great cage diver, but no. And the breath is just the strictly worst. Well, no, not strictly worst. It's not particularly good, is it? The breath's not particularly.
I think it was racking my brains as to when I would use it over hitting something.
And I did the same. The only time would be when I need it to fall in that square and it's got a block.
Or if you can't hit something, right? Like if it's a strength 4,
yeah,
with a blocking guard. If you can just unlock the entire line by knocking him down on a 4+ or whatever.
Now, if we take it that they're losing tackle, because we know the 4 remaining Chaos Dwarf blockers have lost tackle, I've even heard it theorised they might lose block.
No, sure. I mean,
at which point they'd be such garbage, or possibly a point of armour, and yet retain the iron hard skin, so it can't be reduced any further. I don't know. We don't know what the stat line's going to be. But I agree with Runbad. The only use I can really see for the Flame Breath is, as I said, the number of Strength 4 teams is really hurting Dwarves. But a flame breather has the same options of knocking over a strength 4 piece as it does a strength 3 piece. So you don't have to do a 2 die uphill. You can breathe your flame at them and knock them over that way.
I think it'll depend on costing, right? If they're the same price as the other dwarves and it's just an added bonus skill, then situational, sure. Or maybe they're an extra 5k or something. But as long as they're not ridiculously priced and make them uncompetitive and too expensive to be competitive in a list, then I think it'll be okay. The loss of tackle sucks, but we'll be able to manage it.
It'd be insanity for the flame lads not to have block out of the box. That would
be crazy. I can't imagine that, but who knows?
Well, I mean, so far the guy who's Jay, who's running Blood Bowl now, the lead designer of Blood Bowl at the very least, seems to have found, everything he's brought in so far seems to have been okay. There hasn't been anything that anyone has seemed outraged by, even gnomes.
Vampires.
Can they really take block off 2 more and just leave you 4 block pieces on Chorfs? It seems insane to me, but certainly there's a strong rumour going around that may be happening. Does it excite you they're coming back in general? Do we think that's a fun addition? Or
it's not a fun addition, but it could have been. I don't know. They really seem like they've been butchered. In all honesty, I've got no particular love for Chorfs, but I don't know. It just seems quite cruel treatment compared when you've got Chorfs that were getting released in what we think they may be, and then when we look back at Zons, the power level difference is just vast, and I don't understand why.
Certainly, we can be pleased that it doesn't look like Chorfs are going to come in at the top of the power rankings.
Yeah.
We're all pretty much agreed on that.
Might be at the very bottom.
Dimmy, what's your hot take on the Chorf situation, mate?
Yeah, honestly, I was a bit pissed off when I first heard, thinking, oh, they've just murdered him. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, not every team needs to be brilliant. Like, you need some solid tier 3s or tier 5s or whatever, depending on what rule set you're using.
Yeah.
Like, it is a massive nerf. Did they need to lose tackle? No, because I think tackle needs to exist because there's so many like Amazons and stunties and whatever. I feel like it's part of the wheel of life of Blood Bowl. Like you got fire beats earth beats air and all that sort of thing going on. But yeah, I don't hate the fact that they're terrible or like not terrible, but they're just going to be bad, right? They're going to be Imperial Nobility level.
I mean, they're getting Iron Hard Skin, which has been massively buffed.
Wow.
It's not exciting anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
In terms of like staying power, it's really good, right? But the way it's written currently is that you can't even use like Mighty Blow against them, can you?
No.
Yeah.
So their armor is not alterable by, we know for sure, Mighty Blow and Claw. But it's sort of implied that might also be against any fouling action as well. So genuinely nothing, maybe even chainsaws, genuinely nothing can drop them below 8-10 plus.
Yeah, but like you're keeping a trash player on the pitch for the whole game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he's trash. Like he hasn't got tackle. Yeah, he's got block. He's movement 4 and he's strength 3. Like yeah, he doesn't get removed, but he's not like a good piece. You don't even you're going to target the bull centaurs even heavier, which are more of a problem if they go.
Well, I mean they may have Ironheart Skin too. It's the two things we really don't know.
Well,
what it said is that
every
Chaos Dwarf gains access to Ironheart Skin. Now, some people would argue that a Bull Centaur is a mutated Chaos Dwarf. Some would say it isn't. It's a different thing. So whether they get Ironheart Skin, we don't know.
Maybe.
But they're already 130k. If they give them another skill, that's going to have to push the price. You can't just tack one on for free, surely.
Ironheart Skin also increases the Minotaur's animal savagery, as Kalen kind of mentioned, right? That's Ironheart Skin insulates you against your own Mighty Blow or Claw.
If the Minotaur still has animal savagery, if they're not back to Unchanneled Fury, which we don't know. And the other thing we don't know is how much the Ironheart Skin stands up to gang fouls and to things like chainsaws, even to maybe bombs. But we know it works against Mighty Blow and Claw. So I think once we know those two wrinkles, we might have a better idea. But it's not like there's a load of claw-wielding teams rolling around in the NAF scene, is there? So I see this as more a league thing. Where perhaps that ability to breathe flame onto strength 4 things, that ability to absorb claw hits and not give a damn, maybe that'll give them a niche in some leagues. No one's looking convinced.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think aesthetically and the way that the team looks is a lot of how people,
they're going to sell.
Right? Chorfs are always a great looking team. The models look good. They're going to sell. People are going to play them in leagues and in tournaments. And maybe not the best, but they'll be tiered appropriately eventually, and it'll be a good addition to the game. As you guys said, right, we can't just have every single team that gets added just be more and more powerful.
Yeah,
and we end
exactly.
up
No one
with
wants power
40K
creep.
or whatever, right? So,
But also no one
somewhere
wants
in
an
the mid-range.
underwhelming release, and it slightly feels like it might line up that way.
We don't know
Certainly, I think if
yet.
they're going to stay currently tiered at, say, tier 1 in some tournaments, or if it's a 3-tier tournament, tier 2 if it's, say, 5 tiers, I think that might be tiering them, too high or low, whichever way you want to put it. I think they may need a bit more help than that.
Yeah,
out of
I
Fields
Moscow.
will adjust as the data comes in, I'm sure.
Because, of course, they've already lost the break tackle, which was a mainstay with a lot of people on the Bull
Yeah.
Centaurs. And
Well,
was
like
nowhere
they
near as
might
good.
make Bull Centaur strength 5 and then break tackle works on them again. You
There
don't
you go.
know.
They'd then need to
25
be
balls would be mental.
really
I
expensive.
know,
It would
but
be.
then
They'd be
the
insane.
Chorfs are really, really bad. Like they might, you don't know,
I,
they
I
might
don't
do
think
it.
they're
They
really,
might
really
do it.
bad. Obviously, it's a nerf, but they're not really, really bad.
Didn't Bull Centaurs used to be strength 5 in one of the really old editions?
I
Like
mean,
when they
Hankok used to
first,
be strength 6 and then was dropped to strength 5. I do know that.
I
I don't
think Bull
recall them ever being
Centaurs were
strength
strength
5.
5 once upon a time.
But I do think we need an FAQ to clear up those things around the Chorfs if it's not cleared up when the full release happens. Because we just don't know about Unhide Skin yet, and we certainly don't know what counts as a Chaos Dwarf, whether the Bulls are getting hard skin or not. We presume
Or
that the
even the
Flame
Flame
Breathers and the
guys. Like,
CDBs are, obviously. Sorry, Dimmy?
we don't know what the Flame guys like AV is going to be
No,
either,
we
do
don't,
we?
or the
Like,
price of
it's
anything.
like, or whether they're going to have
But
block
strength
or
4,
whatever.
old-fashioned strength 4 Bulls with Sprint, Thick Skull, and Sure Feet used to come in at 130k. So if they push them up to strength 5 or add Ironheart Skin, you're going to look at a player that's got to be 150 or more. And that's going to be really difficult to afford one or two of on any team.
Yeah.
And make them actually, if they're more than 150k, and if you put strength on, that would arguably put the price
But
more up something like 170 or 180k's worth.
how do you sell a Forge Weld Mini? You make it strength 5, and then you get people paying 50 quid for 2 minis.
I think people will pay it anyway. They're nice looking sculpts, and no one's ever really wanted Chaos Dwarves without the Bull Centaurs that I've met. I think the piece people aren't going to want is the Hobgoblin shadowing stab pieces. I
Yeah.
just don't see any use for them. And
They're more
also,
of a
that's
thematic
two
thing, I
more
think.
skills. Hobgoblin's 40. Are these going to be, 60? Maybe I might squeeze one in if I had 20k spare.
Maybe they'll give a movement 7 or something. Who knows?
Maybe. Anyway, it's all a bit depressing. So that's what's new in Blood Bowl. Now, that's given you some thinking time. We do need to start wrapping this up. Where are you going next? We've talked about your journey so far. What's your hopes for you and for Blood Bowl as we head into the last part of 2024? 2025 is just around the corner. I've heard a Christmas advert already. So, what's your hopes for Blood Bowl in 25 for you and the hobby, the sport, the game in general? I'm going to start with Dimmy Gee. He's never short of something to say. Dimmy, what's your future and the future of Blood Bowl?
My future, running more tournaments, going to the World Cup in 2027. Going abroad, probably going to play Spain, Italy, France, somewhere like that. Like next year, hopefully, and Ireland. I want to go to Ireland. So I want to travel some countries, and I want to play a lot of tournaments, play all the races.
You can come back from Ireland with a tournament win, probably. Banter. Hankok, what's your hopes for yourself and Blood Bowl?
For Blood Bowl, I hope we see Tomb Kings released. I'm a Tomb King fan. I do like Tomb Kings. I hope they don't get the same treatment that Chorfs got. But for my Blood Bowl aspirations, I'd quite like to get 1 or 2 more tournament wins under my belt. That'd be quite nice. And maybe we see a new rule set released that's slightly more competitive.
I mean, people said it would be 24, having been 16 and 20. I'm sorry, there appears to be a fire in my house, but until someone tells me more than that, we might just get the odd little fire alarm going off. I think someone's baking and it's not going well. I see no sign of a rule set in 24, but maybe 25, maybe 26. Certainly, you'd have thought with Games Workshop, 4 years is about enough. They want our money again. So I wouldn't amaze me if a rule set's on its way. Runbad, what are your hopes for yourself and for Blood Bowl as we head forwards?
I mean, I'm still going to continue just keep going to as many tournaments as I can. I'm lucky enough to go to 2 majors in the next couple months, so the end of the year is going to be pretty busy with Blood Bowl. But for tabletop, I'm really enjoying it. And honestly, just continuing streaming, and I think that the Twitch streaming and Blood Bowl 3, as much as it's maligned with issues and maybe not as competitive as a lot of the other formats, it is a great avenue for funneling new people into the game, especially with crossplay being added now. And the new season launches on Tuesday, which is adding gnomes and goblins, which is going to be, or sorry, not gnomes, I'm sorry, halflings and goblins. But it's going to be a really good addition to the game, just for some people to have some fun and for everybody else to play dwarves. But I think it's going to be continue to be a good thing for the community and to funnel new players into tabletop and fumble and all those different avenues. So, streaming as much as I can to help that and then continue to have some fun with it.
Are there any more plans for innovation on your stream beyond the dice rolling game?
No, I don't think so. Right? I mean, even that was just a like I said,
I'm
an
taking the
idea
piss, but I
for.
love it.
I know, no, fair. It's fair, right?
I just can't resist
But
taking
no,
the
I mean,
piss. It's
like I
who I
said,
am.
and Eliot is working on. So he built the bot for it, right? Eliot, shout out to him. He did an amazing job with the bot. We were originally running it out of a spreadsheet, which was like a nightmare for me to try to play Blood Bowl and keep track of a spreadsheet and
Were you
roll
doing it
dice
with
and
an
all
actual
that.
pen, with like a piece of paper?
No, we had like a Google sheet. We were running it in for the first time, first season we did it. So, but it was a lot to keep track of. Drad for one of my longtime mods was set that all up for us, and it ran for a while, but it became too much because there was just too much going on. So Elliot built the bot. He's working on some changes for it, some updates and so on. So, but yeah, it's like I
Continue
said,
to
it's
innovate. I
gonna
look
be a
forward to the
lot.
day I land on your stream, and it is weirder and harder to see what's going on even than the legendary Mr. Page's stream.
Eventually, you won't be able to see the Blood Bowl at all. Some people get angry because we're playing Blood Bowl. Like, we just need to go back to the Challenge of Champ. We don't need to play Blood Bowl. Like,
Liam, I
but
saw the
I mean,
light go on in your eyes when he said that both goblins and halflings are being added to Blood Bowl 3. Is that
yeah.
finally taking it over the threshold for you? Are you going to
No,
sit
it's
on
I
the
mean,
like
toilet with your
I've
your Switch?
I've largely, with the exception of the preseason, I've kind of stuck with it throughout.
Yeah.
Obviously it's got a lot of shortcomings and so on, but I treat it as just I don't take it too seriously. If I qualify, I qualify, and so on. But it's more just about having fun and hanging with people and
It is
Twitch
getting
definitely.
slightly better over time. It has introduced,
Yeah, I think now,
rules
like,
of
from a
leagues
stability
now. There is some
standpoint,
NAF style there now. There is a
yeah.
bit more usability with it.
They've
It
been
still
updating,
takes
like they
87
the
clicks to do
underworld change
anything.
was within the game within a couple weeks, things like that. So it is it's getting better. I know it's gonna get ragged on still forever,
It
but
still
I
looks
still
like
enjoy it.
utter crap
It's
at
still Blood
times.
Bowl, and I think those new stunty teams coming in is gonna be fun. So
We're never going to see you on Blood Bowl 3, Liam. Hankok.
I doubt it. Yeah, I
Okay.
doubt it. It's still a long, long way to go for me.
never say never.
Yeah, never
I
say
don't
never.
know.
It
Yeah,
has
never
got a
say
long,
never.
long way to go, and I'm not convinced it'll ever get there. Whether we'll see all the teams there, I mean, at the rate they're releasing, even if they kept now doing 2 a month, it would be a while.
For those that haven't tried it in a while too, like, I'd encourage you, whether you own it or not, to check it out with the crossplay. It's accessible on any console pretty much,
Yeah.
and everybody being in the same pool makes it easy for people to get games. And if you just want to have some casual Blood Bowl, it is much better than it was on release. There's no
Just
doubt
think
about
you
that.
too might be spinning into someone who's playing on an Xbox.
You might get beat by them.
So, final thoughts. I wanted this one to be about your journeys into Blood Bowl, what it's done and brought to you. Just before I come to you and say, is there anything you haven't talked about in terms of that you want to say before we finish? I just want you all to have a chance to thank me for my huge part in giving you this great gift that your lives have of Blood Bowl and how central it's become to your existence, to how you have fun, to how you socialise, to just your everyday world. So feel free to offer me that credit and that praise.
Thanks.
Yeah, cheers, PC. No, massive thank you, mate, and I'm very grateful, very grateful
I'm
for you.
sure you'll all be somewhere near where you are now without me. So we are going to wrap up. That's been 2 huge hours. I just wanted to get back, have a chat, get another stream out there. So thank you for joining me on that. I am kidding. I have been involved with all of you like a Blood Bowl father. But I think everything you've done in Blood Bowl has been down to the fact that you've been interested in doing that, and it would have happened whether I was there or other people were there in the places I sometimes was. Is there anything you want to say about this, about your life and your journey into Blood Bowl that we haven't covered yet? Runbad, I'm going to start with you. We started with you at the start. We will start with you again now.
I just really love the game and the community, and you joke about how you funneled all of us into Blood Bowl and encouraged us, but this podcast honestly has been a large part of the Blood Bowl community as well, and anybody that's passionate about it has certainly paid attention to this broadcast, and myself, I've watched every single one, and I think a lot of people fall into that. So while you joke about what you've done for the community, I think it's a lot larger than what you realize even. And this podcast is a large part of discussing those topics and bringing everybody together to enjoy Blood Bowl together. So
And to be
thank
sure,
you
I
for
hope to be
that.
doing that again. After the Euro Bowl, I'm going to look to put some new episodes out. I'm going to look again to sort of cast my eye around Blood Bowl and do what I've tried to do with this show, which is talk to people about Blood Bowl. Not necessarily about whether they rolled a 3 when it could have been a 4, but about why they play Blood Bowl, what they get out of it, all of that sort of stuff, sort of the world around Blood Bowl.
One of the biggest skills in tournaments I found when I started going to tabletop is being able to try to act like you're paying attention when somebody's rambling about what happened to them in their game, and you're thinking about something completely different, but trying to stay like intent enough that you're not completely just ignoring them. But it's hard to keep track.
Always
Right?
remember,
People come to
always
this
remember the
big
gangster
situation,
answer.
and
There's
it's
the
like,
perfect thing to say at these times. When they're halfway through their story, just stop them and go, "But what was the weather like?"
yeah, it's
Just let
definitely
them know.
a
And I
life
think that
skill
could be
trying to
our
act like
secret code, the
you're
one world, one Blood Bowl code. If someone's telling you their dice story, ask them what the weather's like, and everyone around will understand exactly what you're saying, which is please shut the fuck up and take me for a bit. I don't care if it should have been a
yeah.
3 and it wasn't.
You want a
I
beer?
love you, but I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But and like cheers, PC. Like I said, it's been a great addition to the community, and I'm very thankful for it.
oh, bless you all. Say more things nice about me. Hankok, anything we haven't talked to you about in terms of your journey in Blood Bowl and what it's brought to your life? Remember, there's a lot of new Blood Bowlers out there. It's a golden age. They're all coming into Blood Bowl right now. What would you say? What can they look forward to?
Enjoy the social side of it. It is really important. Also, just like to say thank you to you, because my initial journey into like tabletop, which is obviously the most important aspect of football for me, was made much easier by you just organising. This is what you need. This is what you got to do. It's going to be fine. I'll hold your hand. It's all good.
This was supposed to be a bit where you take the piss and deny I've helped at all, so thank you. That's nice. Dimmy.
Yeah, pretty much what Hancock said. And one thing that I would say to like anyone who's in the community who is going to tournaments but has only been to a few or something, like, and it's kind of easy for me to say because I'm pretty extroverted anyway, but like one thing that I do is I make sure that I speak to groups of people that are not like my close group, if that makes sense. So like I'll go to other guys, other tables, and like Hancock said earlier, Blood Bowl is one of the games that's great because you've always got something in common. You go, oh, what race are you playing, mate?
Yeah.
Like, how's your day going and stuff. I always
Absolutely.
make an effort to speak to as many people as I can, and like when I go to like tournaments and stuff like or like pairs events, team events or anything like that, I always tend to go with as many different people as I can as well. So like just if you are like there at a tournament and you see me or anything like that, just feel free to say hello and whatever, and I'll like or to anyone if any yeah probably not. I'll I'll laugh in your face about how bad your dice were, but but yeah, just like genuinely, just reach out to people. Like we're all here. We're all nice people. Like if you need any help or any advice on how to play Blood Bowl or get into it, like just message. It's not like I will say hello back.
Oh, we've got all nice and emotional at the end, and that's a nice way to end. I guess I should probably say the same and slightly apologise to my good friend and excellent Blood Bowler, Andy Davo. I am aware he does not actually charge €10 for a selfie. It's more like 15 now. I mean, he's got a young family, he's got to live.
Inflation as well.
Yeah, but I mean, almost everyone in Blood Bowl is, as Dimmy says, going to be absolutely lovely. Go up and say hello to anyone you've seen on stream, or just to anyone. Turn up to a tournament, say hello to the first person you see, ask them what they're playing that day, and instantly a conversation has started and a friendship is made. It's a lovely sociable world out there, which I think is also seen in the Twitch community and on Fumble. I genuinely think Blood Bowl for a gaming community is pretty healthy. I think it's in a pretty good place, and I think most of the people there need to get out of the house more and need a bit more socialising. But in the main, are really nice people, and I'm proud to be a part of this community, and I'm very pleased to be back. Of course, I hope in my heart that acting takes me away from you all again. It's what I love to do. But when I'm not doing that, I love to play Blood Bowl. And I love the people that play Blood Bowl. I love talking to them. And that's why One World, One Blood Bowl exists. Next time, for One World, One Blood Bowl number 50, I'm going to do something a bit special. I never thought I'd get to 50 episodes. So, as I probably won't live to see 100, I am an old man now. I wanted to do something special for 50, so I'm going to repeat, for the first time in Blood Bowl, One World, One Blood Bowl's history, I'm going to repeat a subject to some degree. And I'm going to do another Ask Me Anything. But I've invited on, people often ask me who the best coaches in Blood Bowl are, and that's a ludicrous question, because obviously it's me. But outside of that, who is the best coach at actually playing Blood Bowl probably isn't me. And it's a long list and a really difficult list, and all you can talk about is the people you know or you've seen played or you've heard about or people you trust have seen play. So any list I put together is not going to be definitive, but I like to have answers to questions because I'm a gobshite. So when people ask me who's the best at Blood Bowl, I say there's 5 people in my book that are the best at Blood Bowl. And 4 of them have agreed to come on episode 50 and be with me there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you who that is right now. I'm going to be joined by Olivier Dulac, who has got over a 300 NAF rating with Skaven and is a fantastic coach all around and a mainstay of the French scene. Phil, Purple Goo. If I had to pick one person to play Blood Bowl for my kids' lives, it would probably be him, as I wouldn't stay calm enough. I think he is pound for pound possibly the best Blood Bowler I've ever come across. My good friend Kor Keifog, who I think is a hair's breadth behind, I think he is incredibly good as a Blood Bowler as well. And that man amazes me every time I watch him play Blood Bowl. And then also Malmir. Now, that's not a name that everyone on tabletop or the electronic community even will know, but if you've played on Fumble, you will know of Malmir. The man is ferocious. He is a beast at Blood Bowl. One of the nicest men I've ever met, and I'm proud to call him my friend. He very occasionally ventures out to do some tabletop, usually only at a tournament that's a team-based event, and often sat alongside me, which I'm happy to make happen. I love him to pieces. So those 4 people will be joining me. If I can talk the 5th person on my list, which is Justicium, into coming, I will try to. But unfortunately, he's always said that he feels his standard of English is not quite good enough, he also being French. So I would love to get those 5 together, but 4 of them have agreed to come. So those 4 will join me. I think they're all clearly above me in Blood Bowl, but luckily the talking is not so bad. And I will have lots of questions, lots of things to talk to them about, but I would love it if you also could send them in either through my Discord or personal messages on Fumble, or when I put the adverts up on both Reddit, and I always put one out on my blog on Fumble, and I always drop one in at least my stream and probably other places on Discord as well. I will try and hoover up any questions for them, for me, about Blood Bowl, about themselves, about the Euro Open, about the World Cup, about anything you want to ask them about. Even if it's not to do with Blood Bowl, I'm quite happy to ask them too. And we're just going to chat, throw some questions around, and celebrate 50 episodes of One World, One Blood Bowl. Hopefully, I live long enough to see that happen. Thank you all for coming tonight. If we could all wave and say goodbye in Teletubbies style, it helps me find it in the edit. Thanks for coming. I hope you've enjoyed number 49. I'll see you very soon in 2 weeks' time for number 50. Thank you and good night. And we're done.